Hey, all you cool cats and gamers! Welcome to No Category Left Behind, the GDQ hotfix show that showcases category extension speedruns. I'm your host, Nuclear, and tonight we've got some PlayStation games for you. But before we get started, I do have a few announcements. Flame Fatales just finished its most recent all-women speedrunning event, Flame Fatales. Check out the playlist at youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick to find out any runs you missed last week. Also, make sure to check out our highlights channel, which features standout moments from our hotfix shows. Use command highlights in Twitch chat to learn more. And make sure to check out at GamesDoneQuick on Instagram to get bite-sized clips from our hotfix shows and see what happens at the events. All right, without further ado, we are going to have some Sly 2 Band of Thieves. Going to pass it on to Nave to let us know what we'll be watching tonight here.
All right, thank you very much, Nukes. Hello, my name is Nave357, and I'm joined here by my commentator, This Is Not Jake.
It's an honor to be here, Nave.
Thanks for joining me today. We're going to be showing you Sly 2 Band of Thieves episodes 6 and 7 for today's episode of No Category Left Behind. We chose 6 and 7 in particular because they're just some of the most popular and more fun episodes to do, so I hope you'll enjoy that. Before we get started, though, there are two things I want to explain really quickly. One, as you can see, we are playing the game in Korean, simply because it's just the fastest language for the game. It saves 28 seconds in episode 6 and a minute 13 seconds in episode 7 compared to the American version of the game. And then the second thing is that I'm sitting here on the pause menu simply because in episode 6 there are a lot of trains that travel around the area on a certain cycle, and we want to make sure that as soon as we start the run, those trains are going to be in a very good cycle for us to be able to progress optimally. So if the tech crew and everybody's ready, I can unpause, give us a quick countdown, and we'll start from there. So
yeah, you're good to go.
Awesome. All right. Well, then 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, Nave.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you. All right. So here we are. We're moving on to our first job called Cabin Crimes. And just to give you some, a little bit of context as to what's going on in this game, we are chasing down members of the Claw Gang, which is basically just the evil, villainous rival gang of the game. Because they have what are known as the Clockwork parts. If you played Sly 1, you'll remember that Clockwork was the evil robotic owl from the first game that we defeated, and now he's in pieces. And the Claw Gang are using his pieces for their evil schemes. And, that's not very cool, so we're trying to put a stop to that. We're trying to steal those pieces back. And here in episode 6 and 7, we are set in Canada, with Jean Bisson being our big bad guy of the episode 6 and 7. So we're trying to chase him down and steal those parts back. Right now, Bentley is explaining that we can use wall hooks to climb steep walls like right ahead of us, but we're going to use some different tech, right, Jake?
In this game, Spin Attack has a lot of funky properties, one of which is spinning up walls, which Nave just did perfectly, which save you just a little bit of time optimizing the movement there. But here we are inside, facing down the big boss of our next two episodes, Jean Bisson, local train and lumberjack expert, as we'll learn more about. But as you may have noticed on the movement, Nave's doing a lot of sliding around, and that's because he's kind of using these gadgets that we have. In episode runs specifically, you're allowed to use any gadgets that you could buy up to that point. So for episode 6 runs, you're allowed to use any gadgets purchasable from episodes 1 through 6. You can't use the gadgets in 7 and 8. And same for episode 7. But we'll see a bunch more of these gadgets kind of showcase themselves later on. But as for right now, we've learned that Jean Bisson keeps the train schedules, I believe, of his precious trains, which are holding the clockwork parts we need in the trophy bass around in 3 log cabins. So Nave's doing his best to make quick work of these log cabins. That was the Jean Bisson cabin. This one is all home to the ducks. That's right. This is the duck cabin. These ducks, you'll hear me complain about a lot. They are the worst guard in this game. For some reason, they are the strongest, most tankiest enemy, which is very unusual because they're a small guard compared to the flashlight guards. But it's time for something a bit more exciting than ducks.
Yeah, so one of the best parts of this job and of episode 6 is that we can actually use our stealth slide gadget to just cruise around town at high speed. It's a simple pleasure, but it is very fun nonetheless. As we make our way over here to this third cabin, which will have our final blueprint, Of note, inside this cabin is full of flashlight guards, which do, they can shoot you and sort of stagger you. So we want to make sure we don't get caught because that can lose a lot of time. Luckily, stealth side, as its name would imply, doesn't really make any noise as we move around, so we can just get to the end of the cabin pretty easily. Now, I do want to mention that as we exit the third cabin here, there's a potential for something called a white lock, which is basically, the reason it's called that is because the whole screen goes white, and if you make any inputs, the game will hard lock. Luckily, that did not happen, thank goodness.
Avoiding that there, nicely done.
It's pretty much RNG, yeah. But if it does happen, there is a backup. If you just press circle, you can go back inside the cabin that we just exited and save your run so you don't, crash your console. But now we're just climbing to the top of this mountain, reconfiguring this satellite array for reasons unknown. I'm sure there's a good explanation. But that'll be the end of Cabin Crimes. And you'll see at the end of this job, as well at the end of any job, that the game does an autosave. And this autosave is pretty important because we're actually going to reset the game while it autosaves. And the reason for this is twofold. Number one being that after that particular job, there's a really lengthy cutscene with Bentley explaining his plans on what we're going to do and stuff. So we just skipped that. And then the second reason is that this game experiences a phenomenon known as additive loads, which basically means that every time the game loads your save file or you load into a new area or what have you, those loads will get ever so slightly longer each time. And eventually, if you don't reset the game, those loads will get pretty sizable. You can really notice them. But luckily, resetting will help fix that. So anyway, we're on to our next job called Spice in the Sky, and we're going to have a pretty complex skip coming up. Hopefully Jake can explain that.
Yeah, this is a skip that you're going to see twice, and it's extremely complicated, so feel free to ask any questions or anything. But Nave is going to set his grounded position on this chimney and then fly to a location where this chimney has despawned, which will cause a very funky series of events where basically any ground outside this chimney's load area is no longer loaded. So we're going to lose collision with the floor here. But by pressing jump, we can still use it, but if we didn't press any buttons, we'd fall all the way through. And this is a bit weird, and it's a bit convoluted to set up, but by setting our grounded position now on that ledge above the train tunnel, which has a one-hit kill box below it, we can really nail this pretty hard cutscene skip, which Nave absolutely hits. That cutscene is extremely long, so even though setting it up takes a while, it is absolutely worth it. Big time save, and like I said, we'll be doing that one more time for something a bit more similar. But now it's time for the actual objective of the job.
Yeah, so this job is called Spice in the Sky because there are a lot of hot air balloons that are going to spawn up here, and we're just going to be jumping around on them in order to collect the spice that's contained within them in this like vacuum backpack that we're wearing. And it's kind of an odd explanation, but here's the reason, okay? It's just follow me here. The spice is very volatile at lower altitudes, which is why it's kept in these balloons. But we're going to use that to our advantage in order to blow off the security hatches on these trains. Just like that. Pretty cool. We do have to be very careful, though, because hitting the ground without touching the train first or, making any sort of wrong movements could result in us blowing up instead. So this job can be quite hazardous at times.
That movement was pretty tight off the train back. I've never seen anyone use that hill to get.
Yeah, actually, I don't think it's the most optimal movement, but it's the most fun, and that's what I'm all about. The coolest. Having the most fun, yeah.
Yeah.
You'll also notice, speaking of optimal movement, that for these first two trains, we actually take the exact same pattern of collecting the balloons. But for the third one, you might have noticed it's a bit more to the right, so we're going to have to change our pattern later, as you'll see. First, we're just going to land safely here, blow off the security hatch.
There's a weird phenomena with this mission that if you land on the side of the hatch, you can fail. Basically, like, it'll kill you and say you messed up. It's kind of a weird hitbox thing. And I don't know if you noticed, but both those attempts were scary close to me. I thought that you're making it work.
Yeah, I mean, at any time, even if you land safely, you might just blow up for almost no reason and be like, "Oh, what happened?" But luckily, we're doing okay so far. We got one more train. This is the third and final train. And like I mentioned, we're going to switch up our pattern here a little bit. We got these first 4 balloons are all the same. 1, 2, 3, and 4. But wait a minute. Gonna take a sharp right, get our final balloon here, and then paraglide our way over to the final train. And conveniently enough, this final train will sort of end us right next to the next job that we need to do, or at least where we need to set up our fake floor cutscene skip yet again. So if you missed it the first time, keep your eyes wide open. It's about to happen once more.
Yeah, this one is actually, I think, a little more understandable. It's a bit easier to understand. You got to watch out for some guards. If they break the chimney we're using, that's problematic. It can lead to some weird situations. But Knave stays undetected there. This time we're using a different chimney, but it's all the same, making sure we wait until it's despawned before we hit the water. And as I mentioned, we will shortly here lose ground collision. And how this next job works is you fail if you get too far away from Carmelita, who we'll be chasing. And it turns out when there's no floor, you will get pretty far away pretty quickly. So Knave quickly gets the distance to get far away and fails mid-cutscene, saving a nice chunk of time. And we're straight into this.
Oh, I missed. Okay.
Okay, and this is kind of a long auto-scroller, which is probably one of the scarier splits we've got going on tonight. But key things we got to remember is we can't let Carmelita see us no matter what. There are some lure strats. Unfortunately, the first one didn't quite work out, but there's a second one we can attempt if we're still feeling it.
Yeah, we'll try the second one.
Yeah, casually the kind of point of this mission, though, is that our teammate Murray has been captured. This is kind of a running gag. I don't remember. It happens in Slide 3 too. It does happen in like almost every game.
Yeah.
Where Murray goes out for snacks and ends up compromised, completely ruining the operation. But
yeah.
So
Poor
Carmelita
Murray.
has our friend imprisoned, and we got to follow her to figure out where he is. So.
He does have
Knave
some... Oh, go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, Knave, if you're wondering why he's looking at the ground, it's because this controls guard spawns. Anytime Carmelita gets into a fight or anything, that obviously would slow her down from her walking. So guards can basically only spawn where we're looking. So by looking at the floor, there's really not much space for them to spawn. But here we are.
Yeah, and Carmelita does have some checkpoints that she has to reach. She's just hard programmed to make sure she has to touch them. This is one of them. If you ever see her do a spin like that right there, that's one of her checkpoints. So we can't just lure her all the way to the end of the job anyway. We do have to touch those. But we can attempt to do some lures, and looks like we successfully got the second lure off. The first one didn't go as planned, but the second one, you can see how it works. We just basically get caught by a guard, which will cause Carmelita to detect what's going on and then start running to chase us down, which is obviously much faster than her normal slow walking patrols.
Oh, these icebergs scare me. They could be so troll sometimes when they start just like bouncing around the water. But there you go, the second lure strat. Really nicely done. We're coming up to the end here. Oh my god, who's in this cage-like object?
Yeah, we're looking for Murray. We have no idea
seen
where
him?
he is. We're waiting for Carm to, show us the way, and maybe Murray will be at the end of the trail. We'll have to find out. Oh, look, there's Murray. Perfect. We found him, all thanks to Carm leading the way. And just look at her with her cute little toboggan and everything. She's just so cute, and that's all I'm going to say about that because it is not Tuesday. So anyway, after Carmelita talks to Murray here for a little while, you can notice that there are 3 locks on this makeshift prison. So we need to steal Carmelita's keys in order to free Murray. And that's what we're going to do. As soon as she walks away, we're going to be introducing a new gadget called Smoke Bomb. Because in this job, as soon as you steal the key, you can lose Carmelita 26 seconds later by getting out of her range and stop being detected. However, with Smoke Bomb, if you deploy that gadget 21 seconds after you steal the key, she'll pretty much instantly lose you, meaning that with 3 tries with that, we can save up to 15 seconds with this strat. Alright, and let's make our way downtown.
Nice, the old blitz. She never saw it coming. Yeah, other than that, we're kind of just going to be camping on this generator. As long as the guards Oh yeah, she's big stuck on the tracks. They can cause some AI weirdness for sure. There's a lot of awkward scenarios that can come, but she's bringing the whole gang. We got a goat, a moose, and a duck. Everyone's here. So
Yeah, I'm gonna play it safe and just let her kill everybody. We're just gonna wait a little bit, be a little safe.
There you go. We got the first key. Oh my god, nice dodge.
Yeah. I'm keeping an eye on my segment timer that I have running here, just because, like I said, I do need to keep an eye out for those 21 seconds from the moment I steal the key. And I think it was 5:06 on my segment timers where I need to do this. Seemed right.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that it's a little forgiving. You don't have to like be super precise on 21 seconds because the smoke will kind of linger a bit, and as long as you start it in a way that it lingers into that 21 second period, then it'll work out perfectly. But Knave smartly and efficiently avoiding all Carmelita's attempts to prevent him from stealing these keys. He's got the keys, and now we just need to get her to chill out, and we'll
there we go.
Murray, yeah.
Murray's free. It doesn't matter that Carm is only 5 feet away, and if she were to just do a quick 180, we'd all be in jail. But no, we're good. We're good. Murray is free. And now we're going to be coming up on our next job called Ride the Iron Horse, where we will be introducing Bentley for the first time in episode 6. Jake, can you tell me a little bit about how Bentley operates in this game?
Yeah, Bentley's the technician, the strategist. He's a little bit of a nerd, but everyone loves him. He doesn't quite have all the athletic moves that Sly does, but he makes up for it with some really cool gadgets like this adrenaline burst. Oh my god, look at his feet go.
He's just so fast.
Knave can combo that into an X plus triangle input to maintain that speed into like a little bomb jump, which he successfully did there once to make himself go even a little bit faster. And the other gadget we have here is Hover Pack, which is a really cool gadget to see because you don't see it in full game runs ever, while you do see Adrenaline Burst. It's kind of nifty to see the ways you can save little amounts of time with it, with stuff like that, getting on the train really early. So, John Bassan here is using 3 clockwork parts, as I think we already previously mentioned.
Mistimed my boost.
And he's using them in these trains. So unlike other episodes, we're actually going to be kind of picking off a clockwork part really early here. Yeah, that's another kind of key thing that can be really tricky, is that we can only use these gadgets as much as we have the meter for it, which is kind of like the orangish bar under our health. So any random health pickups can be nice, although it can be really hard to react to them because it's random when they come out. I mean, I think there's like some stats or something that like if you count the amount of things you break, you could like be like, oh, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get one this time or something. But
yeah, they do work on some sort of cycle like that, but it's hard to keep track while you're running.
It's too hard.
And yeah, that's a very short and sweet job, Ride the Iron Horse, and we've already stolen one of Jean Bison's clockwork parts. It's kind of a unique aspect of this episode compared to most episodes where you steal the part at the end in the operation. But in episode 6, since there's so many parts, we actually take quite a few just throughout the journey. And coming up next will be another Bentley job, 2 Bentley jobs back to back, and this one's called Aerial Assault. And you'll see why, but just to give you a little hint as to what that might mean, Bentley is more than just adrenaline burst and his sleep dart gun and his bombs and whatnot. He's also, a tech genius, and he has created an RC helicopter with, an arsenal of weapons. So it'll be pretty fun to see how that's going to play out, but I would like to give a bit of a warning to the tech crew about this upcoming job. It does kind of have some really loud audio, so just be prepared for that. You might want to adjust on the fly. I missed that guard, but it's fine.
Not a problem. Yeah, I don't know why this job is very loud, but typically in Sly streams you'll see some sour pleases or
get your jam emotes out because it's quite some epic music we have coming up.
It is good, yeah.
Here we go.
Did we reset there to like skip a cutscene, or was that reset?
So, whenever we reset the game, that is to skip a very long cutscene where Bentley, he does like a whole slideshow presentation explaining his plan. So we just skip that whole cutscene, and it also helps to reduce additive loads, which is basically just every time you load the game, the loads get a little bit longer. But by resetting the game, you can actually refresh that. Basically put it back down to 0, if you will. So here's the epic RC helicopter section. It's a bit of an auto-scroller. It's a bit of a ear blaster as well. But you'll notice that there are, different kinds of obstacles in our way. We have the missile launchers that will come out of the sides of the train. We have the biplanes that will attack us, and we have the helicopters as well. And we have to take care of all of the obstacles except for the biplanes. They don't actually matter. They just kind of fly around. You can shoot at them Galaga style if you want, but it's actually not even relevant. You don't even have to destroy these planes. They kind of just do it to pass the time because, like I said, it is a bit of an auto-scroller. And Jake, you want to explain the mechanics of the RC helicopter?
Yeah, so we got 2 different attacking functions. You may have noticed there's kind of the straight ahead attack and then the bombs we drop below. And the bombs are, capped to a certain amount. They drop at a steady rate. But with our forward attack, if you remember playing this game, it may seem like Maeve is attacking very quickly, and that's because there is no cap. As fast as you mash is as fast as you shoot, and that'll be a much bigger factor later on, but having a good mash in this one can also help just be as fast as possible when taking care of the helicopters mainly. Airplanes, they just kind of do their thing. It's fine. But
yeah, they're just
pretty straightforward job.
This is the final segment here. Taking some damage abuse there to just kind of face tank one of the helicopters that comes out. And we'll just have to shoot the rest. If I can get this last one. There we go. And that's it. That'll be, I think, the last time we'll see the RC helicopter for the rest of episode 6 and 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it might come back.
Can't remember exactly. So this right here, big bait moment. Do not reset your game. Everyone has fallen for it, but all you need to do is wait to load back into the hub, and then you can load back to the safe house. And we didn't really mention it, but one reason, or the reason that we load back to the safe house is because it's obviously just a lot faster than running back to the safe house, where we can choose our next character, in this case, the Murray. Murray's playstyle usually revolves around punching and defeating guards and whatnot. And right now we're going to be doing a job called Bear Cub Kidnapping while I set up a new cutscene skip, relatively new. This should be fine. So what I did there was I used Murray's gadget called Berserker Charge in order to charge into that rope that was on that platform. That'll cause Murray to do an animation where he hits the rope and bounces backwards, back onto the train track, and yeah, poor Murray, he gets run over by the train. But, thanks to his sacrifice, we are able to skip the rest of that cutscene and save some time. So thank you, Murray. We appreciate what you're doing for the Cooper gang. But now we are doing the part of the job for which it is named after. We are kidnapping some bear cubs. And the reason for this is quite convoluted. We're going to place them inside a cage. Oh, hang on.
Oh,
got a sniper on our hands.
Oh, there might be a train coming.
No, we're good.
Yeah.
Oh no.
This is called backup.
This is
bad.
My god. Okay, well that's never happened to me before. There's your never happened moment. Don't worry, we're back. We'll just pretend the past 20 seconds didn't happen, and I'll continue to explain what's going on. We're trying to kidnap these bear cubs to place them in an iron cage that is enveloping one of the hand carts on the rails, so that we can use that hand cart during the operation. And what we're going to do is we're going to place the bear cubs in there. They're going to start fighting because, bear cubs at that age, they never get along. This is common knowledge. So the mother bear is going to come along and destroy the cage in order to free them. Here's the second one just snoozing away in his little cave. How cute. But we don't have time to admire their cuteness. We got to run back. And running is actually kind of unique, right, Jake?
Yeah, one of the gadgets we have here is kind of a meme in the Slack community. We're using Atlas Strength. This is a really expensive gadget that isn't in full game, but in episode runs, it helps a lot on these kind of carrying segments where you can run really fast and even jump, which is something you can't normally do, which, does its best to try to make the job a little bit easier, but sometimes the chaos is just too much. These guards are crazy out here on defense, but Knave takes care of that, and this job ends so close to the safe house that we actually don't even have to load. We can go back and swap character as it's time for our final slide job before the operation.
Yeah, this job is called Theft on the Rails, and this is going to be another job where at the end of it, we're going to be stealing yet another clockwork part. That'll be 2 out of 3 clockwork parts in the favor of the Cooper gang. So what we're going to do is we're going to make our way up here. That'll spawn the train. Bentley's freaking out. The train's going way too fast. There's no way we could catch it, but there's more than one way up on that caboose. And the way we're going to be using is our glitch high jump, which, as we've mentioned, is basically a triple jump. And then just paraglide over here.
These train missions are a lot of fun. They're typically very minimal cutscene and kind of just straight movement. And these trains are busted, bro.
Busted. What the heck did I just do, Jake? What happened
I don't think
there?
we mentioned it, but in this game, there's a unintended triple jump, which involves using the charge attack animation or the square button in order to trick the game into getting a third jump. And by using that, we can kind of...
Hang on. All right.
Oh, nice dodge. We can just get on top of the train and avoid everything that's inside. The trains are really cool casually and feature a lot of like traps, but some of them involve like crawling or really slow movement. So it's way faster to just get on top of the train and start blasting stealth slide and get to the end of the train as quick as possible.
Yeah, we're a regular Jesse James over here, just robbing trains left and right. But we're going to do one more game reset before moving on to the episode 6 operation. And Jake, I don't know about you, but I think they really blew it out of the water with this one. Operation Choo Choo. Yeah.
Sucker Punch was off the rails when they named this operation. They went crazy.
Yeah, literally off the rails in more ways than one. But yeah, Operation Choo Choo is our next job coming up. This is the penultimate, the culmination of all of our actions in episode 6 so far. We're going to be stealing that final clockwork part from Jean Bisson, or at least what we think is his final piece. We're going to be starting the job as Murray. Unfortunately, we don't actually even play as Murray in the operation. Spoilers. But he does need to drive the handcar for us. He's the big, strong guy. He can handle it, hopefully. All right, and as you can see, the Murray's strength is unlimited. He can catch up to a speeding train, even while Sly's just kind of standing around, giving himself a little monologue. We're just going to get onto this train and go straight to the end and steal the part, right? I mean, as long as nobody, bothers us, intercepts us or anything, it'd be fine.
I mean, these trains have no defense. They have no game. I mean, we're 2 for 3 on the parts so far. I've heard a rumor that Jean Bisson is so angry that he himself is personally defending this train. But he's not going to be able to do that.
That's true, but unfortunately for Jean Bisson, we know how to... Oh, okay. We know how to triple jump. We can get on top of his train. He wasn't expecting that. So we're just going to bypass him. He has no idea we're here. He has no idea he's about to lose his final part.
We, in theory, could just run to the end of the train, but unfortunately there are chain triggers in this game, so if we went all the way to the end, there would be nothing to do. We've got to make a quick pit stop.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Whoa, who's this? Yeah, it's time for Constable Nayla. Well, I think she's been promoted at this point. Who knows what her rank is?
Don't you mean Captain Nayla?
Yeah, that's right. The second police lady, who's kind of a suspicious character if you know the story up to this point. She gets up to quite a bit of shenanigans, but she's got us pinned down. Sly clearly cannot get to the end of the train with this woman piloting a jet fighter above him. But we've got to call in our little friend for some assistance.
Don't worry about the fact that the RC helicopter is modeled after Bentley's face. Minor detail. Don't let it keep you up at night.
But yeah, this is where the mashing will really come into play. If you are a mash god, you can actually just stand still and kill Nayla before she can kill you. There's a couple patterns she gives, but we've got a decent chunk of health, so it's just up to Nave to put his fingers on the line and mash like there's no tomorrow. He's doing good. It's a pretty long segment to mash through, so it's hard to have the stamina for it. But Nave, actually, that looked really fast. Yeah,
It was a little bit sloppy, but we made it.
yeah. She's out of the picture.
All right.
She's
Yeah,
gone.
Neela's gone. We destroyed her plane. We'll probably never see her again. Clueless. So now we can just move forward onto the front of the train. Oh, after we get run over by some eagles here. And yeah, we're going to steal that part with no more hindrances, I hope. Doing some more glitch high jumps in order to just bypass some platforming that was intended. Sucker Punch had no idea that we could triple jump. And we're just gonna walk through this final car, smack a couple guys. They're gonna shoot me in the air. And there it is, the Clockwork Stomach, the final part of episode 6. I can't believe it's already almost over. It's crazy, it goes so fast.
Yeah, we're coming up to time here. I think we've got this Clockwork Stomach on lockdown. It's a little bolstered in, so we're sending in the RC Chopper for just a little air support.
Oh, and hold on.
Pink text. Oh my god, she's back, and this time she's brought RNG. She's got 4 different attacks she can use, 2 of which force us to use the bomb attack, which is very slow, but we've got good RNG here, so maybe just mashing his absolute best. Time will be coming up when her health bar runs out. This is the last thing in episode 6, so get ready on the time. It did go down, unfortunately, so we're using the bombs, which is a bit slower, but we'll see what she does. And she's coming back out like a jerk.
And time.
GG.
Thank you. There she goes.
That was quite the mashing.
I wouldn't say I'm the best mash in the community. There are some mashing gods out there, but I'm not too bad, I suppose.
That's such a hard split, just because of the mash. It's
I
insane.
can imagine. Yeah, anything that's like extended mashing like that and
Yeah.
throw in some RNG too. That's whew. Well, GG. Chat, we are going to take a quick little break here, but when we come back, Nave will be running episode 7 of Sly Cooper 2. We'll be right back. Hey, all you cool cats and gamers. Welcome back to No Category Left Behind, the GDQ hotfix show that showcases category extension speedruns. I'm your host, Nuclear, and tonight I've got Nave357 with me, showcasing some Sly Cooper 2. Before we get started, though, I do have a couple announcements. Your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on the GDQ Twitch channel help support weekly hotfix content. Please consider subscribing if you are enjoying these weekly hotfix shows. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, go to twitch.tv/GamesOnQuick if you're interested in looking at our live content, starting weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. Then I'm going to hand things off to Nave to get us started onto Sly Cooper 2, Episode 7.
All right, thanks, Nukes. Yeah, we are here. We're back. Hope you saw episode 6 and went so fast. So if you blinked, you might have missed it. But don't worry, we've got another episode ahead of us, and we're still here in Canada. We're still chasing after Jean Bisson. So I think we're ready to go. If everyone's ready, I'll give us a countdown, and we can start on go. 3.
Yeah, let's get to it.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. So just like in the last episode, and pretty much every episode in the game, we got to start with a reconnaissance mission. We got to take some photos, help Bentley get familiar with the land so that he can start making plans, because he is, after all, the brains of the operation. So what we're going to be doing is maneuvering around this ancient sawmill area that Jean Bisson has retreated to deep in the Canadian wilderness. And as you can imagine, it's really cold around here. There's a lot of ice. So Bentley, being the genius that he is, he has modified Arcane to be able to climb ice walls like the one we're looking at right now. So conveniently enough, our first job trigger for Recon the Sawmill, as it's called, will be on top of this ice wall. So you'll see me climb it very quickly. Basically how we do it is we just spam our way to the top, because it's much faster to do that than it is to climb the very slow and intended way. Kind of like that, but a little bit better perhaps. Anyway, now that we've touched the job trigger, we're just gonna cruise around town and take some photos and avoid some guards along the way. Our first photo is gonna be... Yeah, we've got the duck spawn. Oh, we're not close enough.
Okay.
All right, we're good.
That's the one weakness of the ducks. They can't shoot uphill.
So not only do we have the guards to worry about, though, we also have the local wildlife, such as this bear that we're taking a picture of. And if we were playing in English, you would hear Bentley say something along the lines of, "That bear is giving off a radio signature," which is kind of weird. I'm pretty sure bears don't carry around Walkmans or cell phones or anything like that, so we might have to investigate that later. But for now, this is Jean Bisson's house, the den of evil, the epicenter of ecological destruction, whatever it is that Bentley says in English. There's honestly so much great dialogue in the English version of the game that if you haven't played this, I would highly recommend playing it casually. And conveniently enough, I think it's going to be on PS Now or something.
Oh, yeah, it just got added back. It was on it originally, but service changed recently. But what are we taking a picture of? Oh my god.
That is Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's invisible boatmobile. No, that actually is a boat, but we're just so far away that it's despawned, but we're still able to take the picture. Luckily, right next to our next point of entry into the lighthouse, where we have some more pictures to take. Oh, quick picture of the spinner. Very nice. Then we have up here some sort of giant generator of some sort. I don't even remember what this is used for, but I'm sure
it's like the charger.
It's something like that. We also have some high-tech security on the doors here. Nobody's getting past that.
In Canada, they take security seriously. Sorry.
And of course, we have Jean Bisson himself. And like all villains do, he's going to give himself an evil monologue while nobody's listening, or he thinks nobody's listening. And it's all about those clockwork talons that you might have noticed are on his little staff there. Those are his next clockwork part that we're going to be stealing from him. And his evil plan is that he's so bored, he's going to come up with something called the Lumberjack Games, or the Canada Games, which is basically like an Olympics for lumberjacks. And he's going to put the clockwork talons up as a prize for the winner. But of course, he wins every year, so he's not really scared about that. So now we're going to be resetting the game here because, as I explained earlier, it does help skip some cutscenes and keep our load times to a minimum. Basically, this cutscene we're skipping is just Bentley explaining that we're going to join the Lumberjack Games. And, for once, we might win fair and square in order to get those clockwork talons. Well, maybe not so fair. We do have some cheating to do because we are not lumberjacks. We are thieves. So in order to be able to cheat at these games, there's a lot of stuff we need to set up. And the first job we're going to be doing is called Bear Cave Bugging. It's interesting to note that this job, Bear Cave Bugging, and the next one, Laser Redirection, can actually be swapped in their order. And the time difference isn't too substantial between, this episode route and the full game route. But it is there. The time difference is there, and it's more optimal to go in this order. But if you're ever confused about what order to do your jobs in, you can always check out a place called slygolds.com, which will basically, tell you what order of jobs to do, because that website details all of the fastest splits for every job in every Sly game. And it's a pretty cool place, so be sure to go check out slygolds.com. But now we are inside this cave. These bears have radio transmitters in their mouths. I don't know who put them there. Probably a very dangerous job, but we need to steal them so that we can create a makeshift array around Jean Bisson's property and listen in on his conversations. However, I'm going to be doing a little trick here. Jake, what is happening right now?
Yeah, casually, this kind of segment is pretty hard, where if you ever wake up a single bear, you've failed the mission. But as you may notice, kind of waking them all up, we don't really care. This is a bit unfortunate. But
yeah, hang on.
Give the bear a minute. It'll chill out.
Hang on.
It might be best in this scenario to just let them wait it out.
Yeah, we might have to wait it out.
Once you have 3 bears going, it's like impossible to hit all 3. If you just have 2 who are awake, you can kind of control them. But you can see it's a bit chaotic. Any of this ice we step on will make noise, so in some situations it's okay and we can deal with it. But we're also smacking the bears in the mouth, as that lets us pickpocket instead of waiting for their mouse to open, which is RNG. And there was a bear you can just blitz, but this one you can't exactly blitz quite as much. So we're sneaking up on this one, and we'll sneak up on the last one. And yeah, this segment is kind of a nightmare. If you fail this at all, you restart from the beginning casually. So this is definitely kind of one of the harder parts of the game. But with the speedrun strats, using the little table clip, which is a trick that's used a bunch, and I guess I didn't actually explain it super well, but it'll come up again, so we'll explain table clipping a little bit later on.
Yeah, just as a TLDR, you're normally supposed to go through stealthily in that cave so as to not insta-fail the job, but we kind of glitched the game out so that we can just go around and smack the bears and steal their radio transmitters. That's all you need to know.
But we're outside now, and this job and the next job are actually kind of considered two of the best splits in the entire game. They're just great movement with a ton of cross-map action, as we're just going to be running back and forth, placing these things down in the strategic positions Bentley tells us we should. And yeah, it's just cool movement. One fun fact that we do kind of need to be wary of or manage is our gadget meter is important to control, as we will not be able to visit the safe house to get a fill up in between these jobs. So we want to make sure we don't use so much on one job that we're like completely dry and don't have any meter for the next job, as there's a lot of like slopes and good places that you can get some momentum going with Stealth Slide. But once you're outside, I mean, this job isn't too long. It's at 5 out of the 6. Oh, wait, listen.
I think we missed it.
Yeah. Oh no! In Korean, we play this game in Korean, obviously. And if anyone in chat knows Korean, maybe you heard it, but there's a line that is my favorite Korean line where you're running around, and I don't know what he says, but it just sounds to me like he's saying queso, and I cannot get it out of my head. I'm sorry. Every time I hear it, I just repeat it.
I think he's just really excited about a Chipotle opening up in Canada, maybe. I don't know. I would be. I love Chipotle. But anyway, we're on to the next job called laser redirection. And there's actually a lot of really, really cool casual platforming that you can do here. It's one of my favorite jobs casually. But we're going to be using the table clip yet again to skip all of that. Can you explain that, Jake, a little bit?
Yeah, so once again, that pesky spin attack has a problem where if we enter a crawl space as we're starting the spin attack, we'll kind of glitch out into it. And in this situation, if we combo that into some paraglider spam, we'll bust right through the other side and skip everything. Check out 100% if you want to see like half of this cabin area, whatever, done with like actual movement, but we just get to skip everything in here.
That's pretty much it. Very long room normally, and we just made short work of it. So now we're going to be, once again, just like in Bear Cave, we're going to be cruising around town from point to point, this time redirecting this laser. And it does have a final point that we're trying to reach. There is a log chopping guide inside a giant iceberg, I guess. And we need that so that we can teach Murray how to chop logs for the Canada Games. And there will be nothing else except for the log chopping guide. That's all we need. And you'll see it when we get there. It's pretty fun.
This is how you learn to become a lumberjack pre-Google.
Google.
But yeah, as I said, just another movement heavy job. Knave absolutely doing baller strats, not reattaching to the circle button thing on the icicle, but making his way back across town. We're gonna have to sneak past a bear here, which he's typically more focused on the guards or just kind of snoozing, so he's not much of a problem. Getting ready to almost be done. Maybe we're like 60% done with the movement outside.
Yeah, we do have to chase this laser kind of all around the map, but we know exactly where it's going. We know from point to point.
Later, bear.
Yeah, if there's anybody in chat who, maybe speaks languages other than English, tell me, what is bear in your language?
Whoa. I feel like from my Spanish classes, I should know how to say it in Spanish.
I have no idea what it is in Spanish. I know it's kuma in Japanese, I'm pretty sure, and karhu in Finnish.
Spanish, I think it's oso.
Oso? Okay.
That sounds familiar,
Yeah, I wouldn't guess that in a million years. Anyways, here we are at the end. We're thawing out the log chopping. But wait a minute. What the heck is that? Jake, what is that?
I think that's some prehistoric mammoth-like creature. We missed the lore for John Wasson, but it's kind of in the story that he was also frozen, and he's kind of a man from the old age. He doesn't really know what's going on in the modern times, and that's why he's a bit of a ecological problem. And that's why we're kind of dealing with him. But yeah, that mammoth, we freed him, but
he's
while
free.
I was kind of talking, you may have heard a water splashing sound. And
oh, yeah, wait a minute.
I think he froze back up in a different location,
Yeah.
but we'll see him again later.
He might have fallen into a frozen lake and become yet another giant ice block, but it might come in handy later. We'll see him again, don't worry. We'll see that fuzzy mammoth once again. Right now, we're switching over to Murray for a job called RC Combat Club. For any, RNG-based minigame fans, rise up in chat, because that's what's about to happen. We're going to be, basically the reason we're doing this is that these guards like to hang out and do some RC combat, but they have some information that we need, and we wager that if we join their competition and win, then they will share that information to us. So first things first, Murray needs a disguise. They're not just going to let some random pink hippo into the club. No. He's got to look like a moose. And luckily, there happens to be a stuffed moose head up here at the top of the room. A little bit morbid if you think about it. But anyway, this job actually does feature some really cool casual platforming, just like laser redirection on this inside of the building here. But we're just going to skip all that because glitch high jumps are very broken.
Very broken. Oh my god.
Fly's iconic pun, "Hey Murray, heads up," tosses him a head. It's kind of weird, but anyway.
During the stealth mission, maybe you shouldn't be yelling around inside here. But,
nobody hears them somehow. Don't even worry about it. So now we're going to be going into the RC combat section, and Jake, can you explain how this works?
Yeah, welcome to the battlefield. It's an absolute war zone in this minigame. It'll either end in 3 seconds and you'll love it, or you'll die and you'll be complaining and mad for the next 6 hours. Essentially, the strats are we're just going to be doing our best to pick up drops and shooting this guy as quickly as possible. But where the tricky stuff comes in is that his bullets actually do way more damage than our bullets. So if we're lucky, we can kind of manipulate him to shoot himself. But right now, he doesn't seem like he's in a shooting mood. I don't even know if he picked up ammo.
Ooh.
And you can see these explosions really cause insane chaos. Flipping yourself back over is not easy.
This is too risky. I'm gonna... Oh, no.
Yeah, give him some space.
Give him some
he's
space.
Pissed. Oh, he's pissed. Oh,
we failed.
I shouldn't have said. That's my fault. I jinxed it.
This is where the RNG comes into play. Where's the ammo? Where's it at?
Welcome to the combat club. Yeah, once you failed, just to make it even more messed up. The cutscene that kind of leads into this will spawn some ammo drops, but when you fail, there's no time for those ammo drops to spawn in. So you just have to kind of wait around extremely slowly for them to come in one at a time. But yeah, we got a bit of battle bots going on.
Got him.
Nice. Yeah, you got him
to blow himself up. Can't believe that happened, but you know how it goes.
Welcome to RC.
Well, we won. So we got the information we need. Let's get the heck out of here. We're going to do another game reset in order to skip one of those long Bentley cutscenes. But don't worry, Murray fans, stay in chat. We have another Murray mission coming up. This next one is called Old Grizzleface. And the reason it's called that is because, well, that bear that we saw walking around the property, giving out the radio signature, his name is Old Grizzleface. He's a bear that is so old, he's pretty much lost all of his senses except for his sense of smell. And, conveniently enough, his favorite food is fish. So we're going to be luring around Old Grizzleface with some fish. For a rather odd reason, we're actually going to be destroying some oil mains, and you'll see what I'm talking about once we get there. We're going to hop up here onto this cliff. And that right there, that is an oil main, and we need to destroy those. The reason will become much more clear in a job, like 2 jobs from now. But just know we got to destroy them. That's all you need to know for now. And there's Grizzleface. So how do we get some fish, Jake? How are we going to do that?
Well, fortunately, there's a little pond right next to us, and I think we'll get a camera pan soon of our favorite turtle who's ready to do some fishing, but he's got kind of a unique style for it. I think it's kind of like a Resident Evil thing, maybe, where we're going to be dropping bombs in the lake to catapult fish exactly to where Mary is. Don't ask about the science behind it. Bentley is a genius.
He knows what he's doing.
But it's kind of a chill job. There really isn't too much strats. We just have an optimal route for oil mains to break. There's kind of you can go any order you want, but I'm gonna hit this close by one first. The guards can be a little scary, especially at the beginning, but thanks to the Atlas Strength
Probably should have waited.
gadget, we can actually get away from the guards extremely quickly, so from this point on, it should be pretty chill, but there is a little bit more of camera manipulation to prevent guard spawns. Sometimes guards can spawn in front of the oil mains to defend them or guard them or something. I don't know why. Hassan knows what we're up to. He knows the oil mains are in trouble, but can't do much. Welcome to Duck City, the only guards in the game capable
I just
of
broke the
taking...
fish mid-combo. No.
Yeah, that is really tragic. Where you can kill every guard in this game in 2 hits, except for the ducks. These guys.
Except the ducks. They are crazy.
Ridiculous. But yeah, we're on our way now to the final one. It's kind of just a little bit of waiting for the bear to make his way across town. As you've noticed a lot throughout this run, we normally load when we need to swap characters because most jobs end like way too far away from the safe house. But because we have to wait for this bear so much, once we have the okay to throw this final fish and the bear's en route.
Yeah, he's got to break the last one we hit before we hit this one.
Yeah, you can see him in the back. He's coming in.
Coming in hot. There we go. We're clear.
Yeah, we're done. And to save time, instead of loading, we can just go camp by the door. But if you're ever speedrunning this game, you know, keep an eye out for any memers in your chat telling you to stomp or pick up the fish.
Don't do it. It's bait.
There's some troublemakers out there, goofballs, if you will, where if you go in the safe house too early, you'll restart the job. It won't count. But once the job is ended, Nave will be going in and swapping the slide.
Yeah, and luckily the trout population has proved resilient. So now we're going to be selecting Sly for our next job called Lighthouse Break-In, which, as you can guess, we're going to be breaking into the lighthouse. You might remember we saw earlier that there was an impenetrable security system blocking the door from the inside. So rather than, just busting down the front door, we have to climb all the way to the top and access a hatch way up there. So we're going to be utilizing Sly's ice climbing mechanic yet again. And you might kind of be able to tell that the ice does wrap around the lighthouse a couple times. So casually, you're intended to, very slowly climb and go around and avoid the falling icicles and whatnot. But again, if we just jump and spam the ice maneuver, then we can actually skip a lot of that movement and get up there way faster. So allow me to demonstrate here.
Yep. This icicle part casually is actually really hard too. Something about like the depth, I don't know, something. It's kind of really hard. I remember trying to keep track of where the icicles will actually hit. But there you go, skip it all. We're right inside, and we've got a little bit of strats going.
Hopefully this goes well. It did not earlier in practice.
This is like my least favorite job in the game, so it could be really frustrating. But using stealth slide to go down the hill quickly.
No, I fell.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh. Okay.
But that's okay. It gets us another chance. If you had fell all the way down, you wouldn't have been able to showcase the cutscene trick.
That's true.
So we're going to run it back one more time. Hopefully these ducks don't proxy us into trouble again. But kind of an interesting trick where
chill out a little bit this time.
I'll explain it after if it works.
I think I missed.
Tough. If you very precisely kind of triangle dive on top of the high-level security chair, You can actually get a weird kind of like bug in this cutscene where Sly will just cut Bentley off from talking. Like Bentley's like mid-sentence, and it's kind of hard to tell in Korean unless you speak the language, obviously. But in English, it's very funny where he's just like, "Yeah, that's cool, bro, but I'm
like,
out
cool
here,
story,
man."
Bentley, but I have a job to do. So,
Yeah, but
what timing of that cycle? This is embarrassing.
this is why this job is rough. Whenever this job starts, if you're a little too quick, and the cutscene skip or shorten thing isn't really too hard, so we're seeing cycles that Nave probably has not seen in a very long time, so it's normal to be a little weirded out. He was just a little too fast. Very hard to tell that that thing is going to attack. But it's just a bit of an RNG climb up
We made
the
it.
ropes, which can be
God.
frustrating, but we're all done.
Took 2
And,
deaths. Oh, we made it.
we're pretty far away from the safe house, but I think we've ordered these jobs in a way that we're going to be able to start the next one pretty quickly here.
Yeah, so people who routed this game, they are evil geniuses, or maybe just regular geniuses, who they know, where job triggers are and what order we should do things in. And thanks to the fact that we did Old Grizzleface earlier and destroyed those oil mains, that makes this job, Thermal Ride, available now. So we can just climb back up to the top of the lighthouse and instantly access that job trigger. You might have noticed I accessed it from below, which does put us in a unique game state here, but it won't matter too much for the strats that we're going to be utilizing. But basically, as you'll see, the oil mains we destroyed are now causing a giant updraft of wind that we're going to utilize to gain a lot of height so that we can paraglide all the way out to that island that you saw floating out in the frozen waters. The reason we need to get out there is because it's the habitat for some giant Canadian eagles. And they have an egg out there, and we want to steal that egg. It's a little bit cruel, I know, but we must do what must be done. And you'll see later in the operation what the egg is going to be used for, so might just leave that as a surprise for you. But just know we're stealing their egg for now. And otherwise, this is a very, very chill job with definitely, no other alternative crazy strats of perhaps speeding it up a little bit, right, Jake?
I think episode run world records have gotten to the point where people are doing the proxy. I'm not sure. People in chat who are knowledgeable can maybe correct me. But there is a proxy, there's 2 of them you can do, in fact, to kind of skip all this paragliding. But as of now, it's not consistent enough to really implement in marathon runs or even just full game on your own. It's very scary for not a huge amount of time save. Maybe one day, you never know. There's still a lot of ever-changing strats and routes in this game. But welcome to the second half of the job where we've got to avoid these incoming eagles. Casually, this is a bit of a roadblock. I think this part's pretty hard, but Neve's a paragliding expert. He knows all the strats. It is kind of a slide to speedrunning rite of passage to fail this at least once, but Neve, he's been in the game a long time. He knows what to do. He's going to get right past those eagles.
And we have collected their egg here. Yeah, no worries. We're all good. Now that we have collected the egg, we are in a one-hit state. So if we fall in the water, if we get hit by a guard, anything that would cause damage, we will be in a fail state for the job and have to restart. Luckily, from the point we collected the egg, there is a checkpoint there, thankfully. But it's really not hard to avoid taking damage as we just approach the safe house here. And once again, no loading back. We can just enter the safe house because we're just so close to it. For now, Bentley's first time showing up in episode 7 here.
He's back on the case, this time for a little bit of a resonant sleeper job, but there's a few cool strats we can talk about. We'll be using Adrenaline Burst and Hover Pack again for some skips. The goal of this mission is to drain a battery inside that silo of its power, so Sly and the gang can stow away inside of it. We're kind of in the end game of the game here, and there's only one Claw Gang member left after John Bassan we have to deal with, but that member's tricky because he lives in a fortress blimp thing flying far above the ground. So we got to sneak onto a battery that's getting delivered to a ship. So that's what we're kind of preparing for now, and to do that, we're going to use these handy boats, which are real. We did promise they were real.
They were there the whole
invisible.
time.
Yeah, they were invisible earlier. And the game's all kind of going to work together, but unfortunately, Murray is a bit useless when we have these gadgets.
We're just going to ignore him.
His throws are very slow. They're not great. And to get control of the boats, we're going to have to hack them, which will be the same level with just increased security 3 times. And on this first one, there's a little bit of an oversight in the security. These red dots here are the firewall. You know, every programmer out there recognizes firewall when they see it. And by kind of manipulating it all to the left and just picking off some of it, we can sneak in nice and early and commandeer this boat. And then,
now just wait.
This is the chill part, where Nave showcases his excellent aim by sleep darting his friends.
Yeah, don't try this at home, but we like to sleep dart our friends in Sly 2. So now we're going to attach this tow hook to the top of the battery, and once we have all 3 connected, that's when we'll be able to drain it of its energy so that we can stow away inside. So 2 more to go.
Juice management is pretty important in this. It can be really tempting to just like blast adrenaline burst all the time, but you got to make sure you save it for strats like that where you don't even need hover pack there. That one's really easy. You just blast an adrenaline
Anyone can do
boost,
that one. Yeah.
off the roof, and you're there. That one's done in full game. Nice and easy, but as you can see, they've really stepped up the security. This time, 3 lines of firewalls.
3, oh my god.
We're going to be shooting this forever. So we can't do the trick we did earlier, unfortunately. A little quirk about this game is that your bullets against these firewalls do more damage the farther away you are from the target. So Nave's doing his best to be far away while also avoiding these drone things that are chasing him around, which can be a little frustrating, but we're done with the second hack for now.
This is the shortest boat ride before we'll have the opportunity to tow hook the top of the battery.
And I saw someone in chat mention that aiming these things is extremely hard, and we are right there with you. It is very hard. The indicator gives a lot of trial and error for casual playthroughs. I actually have notes. I think the first note I ever wrote down in this game was where to aim for all 3 of these. But we're doing another Murray skip again, this time using the handy-dandy mammoth.
That poor mammoth.
That froze into a platform for us there.
This will be our
this time
final boat hack here, which of course means that we'll have an extra layer of security on this firewall. It's going to take even longer. That's no problem.
Not a problem at all. We're just chilling. If you kind of get them manipulated in a certain way like this, they will just kind of like drift into the wall and leave you alone, which is really nice.
Yeah, these guys are really annoying because they'll try to like kamikaze you, and they'll also leave mines all over the place for you to trip on. So you got to keep an eye on them, but they're not too bad if you've handled them a few times before.
Yep. Coming up will be the very final boat ride, and they saved the longest for last. But this is where Nave really gets to show off his sleep dart talent. Everyone, let's see. Can he get him?
First try. Let's go.
I've never seen Nave miss it. He's too good.
I'm just too good. We might be able to see some excellent Murray idle animations as well. Sometimes his pants fall, or maybe lack thereof, but his belt does fall. Pretty entertaining. Guys are just chilling, and we're just shooting them in BD. But yeah, once we attach our final tow hook here, that'll be the end of boat hack. And wow, it seems like episode 7 is going so fast, but you would be a little bit misled because the operation, which is coming up next, is so long. I think it's maybe the longest job in Sly 2.
Yeah, I think that's right. Top 3 longest jobs in... No, it's probably not top 3. I was going to say in the entire series, but it's maybe like
it might be. I don't know. 10. I mean, not only is it the longest job in Sly 2, it also holds the longest cutscene in the game as well.
Mm-hmm. But luckily, it is an action-packed job. Everyone here loves lumberjacks. We can all agree upon that. And it's time for the Cooper gang to show off their lumberjack skills, which surely they are prepared for.
Surely, yeah. Clueless. But we will be starting the job as Bentley, which is very fortunate because it allows us to set up for a cutscene skip coming up. Do you want to explain how that works, Jake?
Yeah, the intended way to do this part is to run an egg very slowly, dodging a lot of eagles and bouncing on like icicle blocks and stuff. That's really hard, but luckily we have a handy-dandy trick.
That'd be good, I think.
Yeah, that looked great. Will be probably easier to kind of explain it post. Yeah, that will let us kind of bypass what's intended for that section. But here we are. I think we're the only people who showed up for the Canada Games. It's just us versus Basan.
Just us, I guess.
I don't see anyone. I thought this was a big deal. Like, where's anyone? I don't know. But.
You would think people would want those clockwork talons, but it's just us.
And leading us off in the first competition will be Murray, who's going to bust his way through this log, which is just a little mini game. There isn't too much to really say about it. Casually, for the longest time, I thought that if you hit the button in the middle, you'll do extra damage, but that's not true. So it's actually optimal to be as far left as possible, but if you're too far left and miss even just once, you have to restart this entire section, and there's a slow cutscene, and it's awful, but it's time for the big skip. I'm gonna be quiet and let me focus on it.
All right, here we go.
독수리 어미들로 하여금 도끼질 타이밍을 방해하도록 만들어.
First try.
Baby. Nice. Nave's the only one I know who does it with that trigger bomb style, but he makes it work, getting it absolutely on first try. But basically, if we set up a bomb to kind of intercept us right as we fail from the egg breaking, we can kind of trick the game into thinking that, we're not holding the egg. We can just run around at full speed and skip right over it. We run right past the guards, the judges, right past John Bassan. No one cares. There's no there's no cones of visibility or anything.
All they see is that Jean Bisson failed at chopping the log. He deserves a 0, but then he threw a temper tantrum, so they changed their mind. But that's fine. We'll get him on the next 2 games. The next one being a wall climb, where we kind of just spam our way up to the top. But it can be a little finicky. These wall hooks are kind of weird, and there's some electricity in the way as well. But again, just kind of keep spamming your way up here. You'll make it with no problems.
I think we're getting perfect 10s.
All right.
Nailed it.
Coming up next will be Jean Bisson's attempt at the wall climb, but luckily, with these well-placed tow hooks in these outhouses, Murray will be able to attach them to Jean Bisson as he attempts to climb and just yank him down off the wall, causing him to fail the game. And I guess he doesn't feel them, or nobody notices them. People seem to be pretty unobservant during these games. But it's fine. We're just doing a little bit of cheating, and there we go.
Wow,
that's a fail
sucks.
to me. I don't know about you, but yeah, I'd give him a 0. That was pretty bad. He doesn't seem happy about it, though. I don't speak Korean, but yeah, he's not happy whatsoever. And but a score's a score. Maybe not. I guess they changed their mind again. Well, that's fine. That's fine. We have one more lumberjack game. This is the log rolling competition. And fun fact, originally the idea or the evil scheme of the Cooper gang in this job, or in this section, was to grease Jean Bisson's logs so that he would slip and fall into the water. That ends up not being what we do, but what we do is certainly a lot more creative, and you'll see what I mean when we get there. But this little minigame is pretty simple. You just move left and right and try to not fall in the water. I hopefully won't have to demonstrate to you how we can save it if we do fall in the water, but I'll try to pay attention here. If you lose focus for even like a second, it's kind of easy to fail. But it seems like we're doing pretty well so far. You saw one of the little tricks there was one of the logs I was on was falling. But as the logs rise up, they kind of push you into the air, so it's not really a big deal. You can also super jump if you happen to go like all the way down into the water, but we're fine. Perfect 10s. That was excellent. And what's coming up here next, Jake?
Well, I mean, we've been killing it. We've got perfect scores, and John's really been messing up, but he keeps getting perfect scores too. So I think we got to do something about the judges. We need new judges, and I only see 3 people around here to replace them, and that's us.
That's us.
So yeah, it's kind of a real theme in the game that the team is very desperate, or they feel kind of invincible. Like they've gotten away with so much stuff at this point that they are just like, you know what, dude? Here's a new plan. We bring the judges in this cave, we knock them out, we steal their outfits. We're the new judges. So Nave's going to be throwing alarm clocks and even using smoke bomb. To kind of
I don't know about that. I was thinking about going safe today.
Oh yeah, it's all
we might
good.
try
Smoke
it
bomb.
once. Things have already gone wrong. Nothing can go wrong again, right? Clueless.
So we're gonna get the guards' attention. 2 alarm clocks is all you need.
Here we go. We're fine.
Yeah, we're sneak right past them.
Got to be more confident in myself. But I will wait on this one because I'm a coward.
Yeah, no, you're all good. Call the second guy over. Introduce him to whoever's in there. Murray, yep.
Murray beat him up. And then we just got one more guard. Lure him into the cave one last time. Sly's gonna follow him in, beat him up, steal his costume, and it's time for judgment. Will Jean Bisson pass the log rolling? Oh no, it looks like he didn't.
He's getting zeros.
Too bad, man. Sorry, we won. Fair and square. Well, maybe not so fair, but we did win. So, time to hand over the talons. Hopefully he'll just give them to us as promised. With no quarrels whatsoever. Although he does seem kind of mad. Oh, he's giving them to it. Oh, no. That's not how he wanted to receive those talents. So, unfortunately, he did see through our disguise. He saw through the plan, and he knocked everybody out and kidnapped us. And we are awakening here inside this makeshift prison, suspended over one of the sawmills that is, littered around the property. It seems like we're trapped, but fortunately, there is a small, rather turtle-shaped hole in the back of the room here that perhaps one of our gang members can fit through and hopefully find a way to free us from the outside. We'll just have to see what happens.
And this is it. This is the longest individual cutscene in the game, I believe. There are certain places where 2 cutscenes will go back to back, but the longest individual one, which for full game is actually really nice because there's only about 30 minutes left in the run from this point on. So it's a good place to go get a bathroom break, grab some snacks, or kind of just relax and hang out before
try to decompress before episode 8.
Yeah, which maybe we'll show off someday, but regarded as one of the hardest episodes in the game.
Oh, yeah, he's free. He made it. Cool. Hopefully he can find a way to free us and there won't be anyone else down here. Oh, I spoke too soon. Once again, I gotta stop that. So you might notice that Jean Bisson no longer has those clockwork talons on his staff there. And we can't understand Korean. Maybe you can, but I can't. But basically, he's explaining that after he knocked us out, he went to our safe house and stole all of our clockwork parts. The ones that we worked so hard to gather throughout the entire game. Because remember, this is pretty much the end game here. So not only did he steal them, he then turned around and sold them to the final member of the Claw Gang, Arpeggio, who is on his way in his giant blimp that we were talking about earlier to pick it up. Luckily, we did drain that giant battery of its energy so that we can stow away onto his airship, which we will be doing. But first, we've got a bison to take down.
A kind of cool tradition, or I don't know if it's tradition, but a cool thing this game does is it gets a boss fight for all 3 of the game. This is the Bentley boss fight, and of course Bentley, he's not strong enough to beat up the buffalo himself, so he's using the traps that every local sawmill comes installed with to fight Jean Bisson.
OSHA has no place here.
He's doing his best. It's really pretty straightforward. There's only a couple things to look out for, which are the guards, who really kind of just hit themselves most of the time. They ain't really fall.
Yeah, they're not the brightest.
Sometimes John can proxy off the log in a weird way, but Nave's making good work of the first 2 phases, but Jean-Bison's bringing out the upgrades. He's got dynamite now. Oh my god, this will surely revolutionize the fight. Or not. Oh,
Or not. Picked up a healther, which is convenient, just in case we do take some hits.
Yeah.
But this is the final phase here. Surely Jean-Bison's fury will squash that turtle. But no. Once again, brains triumph over brawn. And it's a little sad, actually, because like we mentioned, Jean-Bison, he was, Avatar The Last Airbender style, frozen in an iceberg for like 200 years, and then just thawed out. So he doesn't really understand this world, so it's a little bit sad, but we gotta do what we gotta do. He is a bad guy after all. So now, some dude on the intercom is basically announcing that Arpeggio is about to be here in 1 minute. So we need to catch up and catch a ride on that airship that's incoming. So time will be coming up as soon as we enter a cutscene where it shows the gang entering that battery. And we'll call time, of course.
Yeah,
But all we have to do is run. Yeah.
Blast some adrenaline burst. The Arpeggio's coming to pick up the battery in about 60
1
seconds.
minute. And time.
Time.
That's it.
GG.
Thank you. So,
Thank you.
Jake, do you have anything you want to say before I'll finish this off here?
Just thanks to Nave for having me, of course. And if you like this game, and even if you're not interested in maybe learning, the full game run, which is very long, a lot of these tricks and movement kind of techniques are very easy to learn. So be sure to check out the speedrun.com page for this game and check out the guides section where you too can learn how to triple jump and have fun with all this stuff.
Yeah, great. And I just want to say, again, thanks for having us. Big thanks to Nukes for inviting us on for more Sly Cooper on GDQ. I'm very thankful to have had the opportunity to be here today, and we love having more representation for any of the Sly games in public appearances, which it's made quite a lot this year. A lot of improvements, new strats, new records, just all sorts of crazy stuff happening this year. It's been really awesome. So I would highly recommend joining the speedrun community if you're interested. It's full of wonderful people. And thanks, Jake, for commentating with me. You've been a great help. Couldn't have done it without you. And please feel free to follow Jake and I on Twitch and YouTube. We both regularly speedrun this game, among others. So feel free to do that. And shout outs to slygolds.com. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great time enjoying the rest of your evening watching No Category Left Behind, where I think we'll have a Ratchet & Clank game coming up next. So see you later.
Thank you so much, Nave. Yep, that's right. We'll take a break here, chat, but stay tuned. We're going to be doing Ratchet and Clank Future Tools of Destruction after this, after our quick break. Hey, all you cool cats and gamers. Welcome back to No Category Left Behind, the GDQ hotfix show that showcases category extension speedruns. I'm your host, Nuclear, and coming up next, we've got Ratchet and Clank Run by Torpedo. Super excited about this one. But before we get started, just a reminder that your subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits cheered on GDQ's Twitch channel help support weekly hotfix content. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy these weekly hotfix shows. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, go to twitch.tv/gamesdonequick if you're interested in looking at our live content, starting weeknights at 7 p.m. Eastern and weekends at 1 p.m. Eastern. And with that, I'm going to pass things over to Torpedo so they can explain what we're going to be seeing tonight.
All right, as you can tell by the title, first of all, hello, I'm Torpedo. This is Ratchet & Clank Future Tools of Destruction, the future of gaming. 2007 looks pretty nice now, don't it? We're jumping into a category that's going to be called All Overworld Items, and to explain simply what the category is, we have our typical 100% category, which factors in getting gold bolts, which are like special collectibles that are used to unlock skins. There's items that carry in between playthroughs, such as certain weapons, stuff like the armor magnetizer, which is like a permanent upgrade to Ratchet. But then 100% also does skill points, such as do the entirety of a Star Fox section without getting hit, break everything of a certain kind in a specific level. This category is what we like to call Hundo Light. We have the collection aspect of it, not the skill point aspect of it. It ends up resulting in a pretty different run. From the moment I hit load on this, I'll start it. Never mind, I'll just count down now. There's usually 10 seconds of delay between now and first input. So in 3, 2, 1, go. There's going to be a bit to describe of what goes on in the run, and I'm going to use the first split or two in order to kind of explain what's going on in this game. Right now, we don't have much available in our kit. We just kind of have Clank being able to move us around with a thruster pack. We will have other means of faster movement later, and you might be used to seeing certain games such as Up Your Arsenal or Going Commando. Those games live and die by the charge boots. A lot of the tech that you do in those games are reliant on speed, the preservation of speed, and using said speed to cut corners or to make large skips. How this game works is a lot of your tech is in your weapons. Right now, we're going to take a little detour and try to clip out here. Since we don't really have anything to help us clip, this is actually one of the toughest levels in the run, simply because sometimes clipping out's a bit of a crapshoot. But we will get options for clipping later. This also lets us move out of bounds. We grabbed on an invisible railing there, and we can use this to move around, get out of bounds. This level's like 5 or 6 minutes casually. We get on the rail that ends the level here. There's actually supposed to be a ship chasing us, and we're supposed to be dodging lasers. But what happens is this is supposed to be like the big old tech showcase at the PS. This actually was one of the biggest showcases for the PS3 at the time. So you're going through all the rails. You're using the 6-axis. I tried splitting. You're using like 6-axis to dodge moving cars. There's a big old grind rail section multiple times where you have to dodge enemies. Long story short, Ratchet's on the run. Also, someone's past is inside here. This gives me a good chance to mention, during certain levels that start with the cutscene, we can actually move around in them. So we're gonna use this knowledge to our advantage, and we start the level a lot further up. Because of that, though, there's actually no music right now. We passed the music trigger. To describe what's going to be going on here, I'm killing specific enemies and leaving certain others behind. I also want to keep count of what my bombs are. I want to have a full clip of 8 bombs going into the boss, but I also want to be gathering enough bolts from killing enemies and from breaking boxes, etc. Oh yeah, first instance of a glitched wall jump. If Ratchet wall jumps off a curved surface, his momentum and angle get very skewed. This lets you just wall jump at very weird angles, and we'll get means later to actually use that more. In the meantime, back to what I was saying, a lot of this is going to be in the weapons of like how your runs go. We use a jackpot right there. That ends up giving us enough bolts here. There's a specific route we gotta follow, and it's actually one of the tightest in the series, but also, once you hit a certain point, which is like maybe 20% in, you don't need to route bolts anymore. So coming up next, we got the boss here on Kabalia. This is why we actually just wanted the full clip of ammo, because I can just sit here, and by the time I run out of bombs, more spawn in here, and I can grab more bombs right there to actually bomb later boxes. With that, boss is dead. We get a little bit of Ratanium, we get some bolts from it. More importantly, we get a Leviathan Soul. One isn't going to help us right now. Oh, it does. Leviathan Souls are a currency in this game that you get from killing bigger, like, mini-bosses like that. And with those, you actually can sell those for bolts. Why am I saying this now when we've killed exactly one? You'll see later.
The Imperial Defense Force reports that a Lombax has infiltrated the Star Sector.
So now that we're into the Kabalia factory itself, we get the Gelinator. Long story short, the Gelinator is an item that lets us create solid platforms. That's really the best way to go about it. The moment you're able to create something solid, guess what we have? A means to clip. So now we make a gel sandwich. Ratchet doesn't like it, so he just nopes the frick out of there. And we're out of bounds. By hitting this invisible goo here, we actually skipped through half the factory. Ideally, I think we should have gone down in a barrel. And because these are also portable springboards, pretty much, you can actually use this to aim and, yeah, use geometry to your advantage. We just skipped like 3/4 of this factory, and we don't even need to use the node down there. The Gelinator is actually one of the coolest items in this game, and we don't use it enough. So, as you can tell, with the items we have a lot of means of clipping, but this is actually a game where clipping is not needed that much. This is going to be one of the last times we're going to clip for a little bit. There's like a really long elevator ride down, and unfortunately, that's very slow. So, I'm just going to do that. Ratchet's going to get thwomped by the gel, and we're out of bounds. And I can blow that up for some more bolts. So, what we're supposed to do is we restored the factory, so the smuggler gives us a ride for doing so. We did our civic good for the day. Now he's like, hey, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. The closest he can take this, though, is to a planet called Kortog in Strata City. What's going to be coming up here is Ratchet's going to be launched out of the smuggler's ship because he finds out that Ratchet's basically a fugitive. Why he's a fugitive? Dude's a Lombax, and I guess Tachyon doesn't like Lombaxes. But, more importantly, this normally puts us in a missile section. Remember how I said we can move around in cutscenes? If I just hold L2 to aim and move down, what missile section? So from here, we get another jackpot crate. This is actually like the lion's share of bolts we're getting from the route. I forgot to buy ammo.
One of our devices against that cyclocannon.
Don't mind me there. That's actually one of the reasons why the bolts tend to be a little bit important, is we do try to route our ammo and bolts accordingly. Everything lines up pretty much nearly perfectly so that we can get a health upgrade, get bolts, and everything all at once. I'm trying to be a little bit careful here because if I have too many enemies on screen when I do this, all the particle effects at once can actually crash the game. That's like the last big crash point. And with all this, we're gonna buy Groovatrons. Don't mind that. That's a surprise tool that'll help us later. And this is gonna be where glitch wall jumps kind of show up. The Shock Ravager, if I just do not tap the left stick at all, yeah. The Shock Ravager preserves your movement speed, your angle, and your trajectory from a wall jump. I actually got the fast one there, so I didn't know how to react to this. And all the bits that I've been practicing this, I actually have been getting the slow variant. But, since there's a lot of items to collect in the city, and this level's massive... Oh. Never mind. Yeah, distance bounce actually kind of threw me off there, Killa. I think I know... That actually, I think, just showed me what distance bounce is caused by. So yeah, that actually counts as a curved surface, and because of that, Ratchet gets, like, the really funny momentum. So to describe what goes on in this level, right over there is the end level trigger. Or at least part of the end level trigger. Alright, I just gotta get them out of the way, I think. This is actually one of the first, like, parts that break off from 100%. There we go. Now that we have the swing shot, we can get here. Clank magically grows a pair of wings. I know everyone always says, like, I wish I could fly. Clank can fly. He just believed hard enough. And now we're going to believe hard enough and renders Clank's ability to fly irrelevant. I'm trying to get a glitched wall jump off of a specific surface here, and that was not the right angle. Normally what happens is we actually, in 100% categories, we actually do this in New Game Plus. What we can do is we can get over here, we can get basically out of bounds and casually climb back to where we were. But now that we have the Robo Wings, we can actually fly. Now, flying doesn't really seem like it achieves much because it looks pretty slow, right? We can animation cancel with it. But this is also one of the fastest ways to go about the level right now. This is normally also 6-axis controlled, which is kind of neat. But yeah, unfortunately that's pretty slow. So the other thing we have to collect is Rhino plans. These, when assembled, create the Rhino 4, which is the strongest weapon in the game, sort of. The Rhino is usually very iconic as a super weapon in the Ratchet series. And here, we actually have a weapon even stronger. Don't mind this is an invisible wall that kind of goes together. And sometimes if you just believe hard enough, the game just gives up. So there you go. Now we get to hear the really cool Robo-Wing music now. I love this song. But yeah, also the Shock Raptor just doubles as a slight extra jump. So I need the ammo here. The Shock Raptor is also a really good combat weapon as well because it has a chain lightning effect. We're going to get a health upgrade right in here. I'm going to actually stagger this out a little bit until everything spawns in. And because of that, we can use it to kill like 7 enemies at once instead of 2. There we go. I'm trying to split again. Like Killa was saying earlier, this game starts off very like simple, that you have like your basic kit, and then as you get more items, oh yeah, we can move into cutscene again. Okay, there we go. I think I moved enough. But you start off with like no items, and then you get like all the broken items, and overall, you really do feel like the progression in this category just from like seeing how the run goes. Now that we're here on Fast Soon, we have no ship technically, and this escape pod crashed here. We just found a Lombax flight component. For what? I don't know. Now I found something capable of Lombax flight. And no, unfortunately, it's not a glitched wall jump. That can only carry us so far. So now that we're here, the basis of the levels, we have to just kind of go around and just collect all the parts. They call this Fast Tune though because this ends up being a pretty fast-paced level, all things considered, and we don't really take like almost any of these. Oh, you actually need to take damage from one of these enemies.
Congratulations! You have received an interstellar holobite from
Stefan Warkanopoulos.
Oh yeah, cute little trick here called a swing fling. You can actually preserve your speed out of the swing shot and carry it like later into other parts. It's mainly just momentum storage. This is also another big portion of bolts that we get from the jackpot crate. Oh yeah, any other questions, feel free to ask Killa as well. Killa is the other person that like is a very like top level runner in this game. In fact, actually, I only just got the sweep from Killa recently. And yeah, they put up a fight of their own too. Much love to Killa there. Now that we're coming through here, one big complaint that comes with a lot of Ratchet and Clank games is the Clank sections are slow. They're tedious. Have you seen Tools of Destruction?
Should investigate.
So we're gonna talk to that side of the hill. We're gonna whisper him some little secrets, and he's gonna be so scared of us that he literally just makes us fly, just so we can get away from him. So yeah, Clank can fly. You thought the Robo Wings were just for show, huh? Are there any sequence breaks in this category? I can actually bring this one up. You won't see it in this category, but there's a trick. I'm not gonna call it the abbreviated version, but auto-scroller skip. There are certain parts of this game where they're auto-scroller like Star Fox style ship sections. That's like one of the biggest sequence breaks that comes from this. Another big thing that comes out of this game is also because of the method that we use to achieve auto-scroller skip, which is through stacking menu loads, there is the possibility to create a file that has like stored properties from another file, meaning you could have a file that starts on planet Kerwin, the first planet, and has access to Fast Tune. Not this Fast Tune, the one at the end of the game. So that's actually a separate category extension called Full File Manip, which is 1.5 minutes long. Oh yeah, also, I'm bad at the game, so I died.
Like something terrible happened here.
But, fortunately for us, my being bad at the game actually saves time. Coming up next is actually going to be a good time for me to like explain like any specific questions, because this is going to be about a 5-ish minute autoscroller.
I had a quick question. So sometimes with like weird categories like all overworld items, the run will actually end when you collect the last overworld item. Is this category like that, or will we get to see the end of the game as well?
So it's actually kind of weird. A lot of the Ratchet categories basically kind of have it of meet the criteria, then beat the final boss. Just because like so it can end on like I guess in a very like fitting way. The thing about all overworld items is one of the items you have to collect is literally like 10 seconds before the final boss.
Yeah, so it'd be weird to not go do the final boss. Yeah, I feel like it always depends on the community for those types of calls.
Hang on, Clank.
At the end of the day, though, we kind of just we see them as like any percent, but the reason why this isn't like this actually, I think, has enough of a case to be a main board category. It's just before 100% got the absolute reroute it did, Autoscroller Skip actually paved the way for 100% to be completely rewritten to where you can skip half of New Game Plus, and a game normally not known for sequence breaks. So I would say now all overworld items might have a little bit more of a place, but like I was saying before, it is basically Hundo Light. There is technically an argument to be made that since you don't collect these in the overworld, there's certain targets that I need to hit in the ship sections. And if I hit all 5 of them in a ship section, it's a gold bolt. So there is the argument to be made that since this is not a gold bolt that you pick up in the overworld, that you could skip these. But again, that's kind of where the category definition, we kind of lean it into the mole, like, we kind of lean into it as a completionist category of sorts. So we put these 3 gold bolts in just out of the spirit of the run. But yes, to answer your question, we do end on killing the final boss. Yeah, well, you can. Oh, hey, I got a skill point there. Those aren't required for the run, but hey, at least it shows that I do not suck at the game. But yeah, the funny thing is this is actually how you stack menu loads, is through unpausing and hitting X at the same time. I was gonna do it real quick to demonstrate, because it takes like a second to actually just get that menu set up. Actually doing the skip itself is a different story, but through doing that you can actually get a pause in between files, and what happens is you have a file that has no location set, but the moment you save a file, it saves to the first level in the game. That gets used in any percent New Game Plus in order to skip all of the autoscrollers. 100% uses it for one of them because there's only one that we visit twice because of the reroute. It's not really a reroute of sorts, it's because we sequence break 100% so much. Also, we have the gold bolt. Are the skill points required for 100%? Yes. One of the reasons why this ends up being a separate category from 100% is 100% also has certain skill points. This is before trophies was a thing, so they use the skill points as the 100% criteria. And one of the skill points in particular is called Everybody Dance Now. That item we picked up earlier with the Groovatron, the younger generation might know of it as the Boogie Bomb from Fortnite. Yeah, this is where the inspiration of it came from. And stuff like that, where it branches across the whole game and you have to manage that. is why the category of all overworld items exists. It serves to be that completionist type category without having to worry about managing like 30 things at once while doing 100%. That being said, because I've ran 100% so much, picking this up actually ended up being relatively easy for me. If you see this, please tell chat how epic I am, thanks. Yo, the Sag Meat is pretty epic. There's actually a huge number of Ratchet runners that actually run a big variety of different games. Hey, look, more skill points. We're gonna start, like, actually starting to really break things coming up on Mokau. The first part of the levels was actually kind of tame. So, we're already here. We're gonna go to the ship, and yeah, this level kind of sucks. So, we're just going to use the boundaries of a level as a suggestion of what we're supposed to do. That's what I like to call ship bounces. You stand completely still on like the wing or nose of a Phelion. Oh yeah. Remember how I said earlier on Fastoon those were Lombax's flight components? A Phelion is capable of Lombax's flight in more ways than one. But just stand completely still, do a high jump out of that with the helipack, and yeah, you just zip forward a ton. Now that we're here, hope you like this gold bolt. I forget the casual way you're supposed to do it. And then we're just gonna jump off this rock. A lot of the early like route building and stuff can be accredited to Mobius and a few other runners. I'm actually still relatively new-ish at the game. I've only got 2 years of experience in this game compared to a number of runners having like 5+. Everywhere else right now to go is like super slow, so we're gonna die to return to ship. And we're gonna ship bounce again. This one's gonna be a little bit more just brief and succinct. There you go. We skipped getting the decryptor. You're supposed to come back here later on when you get the decryptor to go through this little, like, yellowy wall. This is actually also where we break off from 100% as well. The Tachyon statutes are not required for 100% at all. But because they're an item in the overworld, they fit the definition of this category. And there's 6 of them. I'm always like really bad at remembering where like a number of them are, even though like they're all in that little plaza. Hey, by the way, more level being a suggestion. So this is actually where the bolt route stops as well. We're gonna get a weapon here called the Shard Reaper, and it's gonna be our main combat tool for the combat we have to do, which isn't really much. Like, the most we have to use it for is gladiator arenas. But yeah, the charge boosts in this game are actually kind of very tame in comparison. There's not much tech to do with them. And you just use it just for faster ground movement. Ratchet's just a lot faster in the air. Now that we're in the arena on Mokau, this is just going to be more of just smartly killing these, because how they come out of the spawners here end up being position based, specifically position of the camera. That's why we wanted the health upgrade. Ideally, you just want to get a kill in the arena with the health upgrade, because whenever Ratchet gets a little health upgrade in these games, he kind of like explodes for a minute. And it helps. But yeah, as you can see, the Shard Reaper ends up being like a really good source of damage, and kind of very cleanly handles these. I'm actually a fair bit overbolted when it comes to that. Usually the any percent routes end up being predicated on how tight your bolt route can be. Alright, coming up is Crushto. He's a boss. He sits still, so he's just a big old target. So we're gonna get up in this grill, and this is gonna be a thing that's notable in a number of Ratchet games. If you can jam your hitbox into an enemy, typically you end up doing damage to multiple points. In this case, Crushto's, the Shard Reaper, is clipping through his mouth and then also hitting him on the gun. We're going to take advantage also of the fact that we can move in cutscenes again. This is going to be a cheeky little one. But yeah, there was Froge. Froge is dead. And now that we have the helipods, that's our little MacGuffin for getting out of here. But taking the teleporter is kind of slow. But we're gonna just wall jump off of that very inconspicuous terrain, and we're gonna fly again. See how we skipped? This is why I like the tech in this game, is like, because of like how it takes you around, you see what you skip, and it's a lot. Or I did not double jump. Yeah, we need to get Bolt 4, which is why I'm here. It seems that my jump input dropped. Unfortunate, but it happens. Why was Ratchet wearing a disguise? Well, you see, that wasn't Ratchet that was fighting in the arena. That was Mustachio Furioso. He's like the hero of the Flurbian Galaxyverse. Ratchet can't partake in the gladiator combat here because he's a Lombax, and Tachyon has it out for all one Lombax is left. So instead, Ratchet just pays Mustachio to fight in his stead. We're gonna do this. There we go. So this time around, I'm gonna do something different, and instead of jumping down there, I'm just gonna charge off. And then we clip through the back because the back's not solid. And there we go. Now that we get the gold bolt, we're kind of trapped in here, right? We're gonna use a soft lock prevention measure in this game. If you're stuck in an infinite fall for about 5 to 8 seconds, the game just kills you. And now from there we can leave Mukau. Everything we need to do for right now is done. We actually have to come back again, but that's actually later in the story. From now, we have access to somewhere called the Nundak Asteroid Ring. This is... how do I put it? People either love or hate this level. I love it in the sense of I can just jump on the wing of Aphelion, do this little bit of magic, and you see how wide open this level is, right? We're flying again. I'm sorry, Killa, I did not make you proud. That there is... I tried to double swing fling, and I did not do a good job of it. Nor did I get the death swag. You can actually go low enough to hit a trigger that causes those turrets to fire at you, and if you go slow enough, they will actually fire and hit you, and that insta-kills you. But now that we got those, Smuggler's here again, and he wants 3 Leviathan souls, but this time I'm feeling a little bit greedy. I don't feel like giving up any Leviathan souls, but I'm also lazy, so I don't want to get any Leviathan souls. So in the meantime, I'm going to jump at this rock very aggressively, and the rock's just going to say no. It actually did say no, that's not what I was supposed to do. This actually tends to be one of the hardest splits in any percent, because this wall jump is very precise. Are Leviathan souls not counted as items? They are not. They're not in the standard sense. We just mean like anything that's like carries between playthroughs or is a collectible of sorts. But yeah, now that we get that, we wanted to get one that gives us a ton of height, because what we're going to do is we're going to break in another way. we're going to be a little bit sus, and we're just going to kind of just, you know, take some hidden vents. And then now that we're down to like 7, I'm going to switch to the thruster pack here because I actually want to be using the thruster pack for some movement through here. I might not have actually... I'll have to do this. There we go. I always forget in AGB, all gold bolts, which is the category that just collects all the gold bolts, I guess hence the name. I usually have 1 less ammo there, and I've been doing the setup off of having 30 ammo instead of 29. But yeah, we hit some invisible water, which lets us kind of circle around everything, and yeah, we take a very creative route to get inside the Apogee space station. This is like, you have to go kill a lot of Leviathans and everything, and then you have to fight through the entire station again. Yeah, we just skipped a lot. This level's usually like 2 minutes long in speedruns. And yeah, the souls aren't counted because there's going to be a cute little surprise tech that we're going to do later. I agree that I think they should come to a modern system. So coming up to Argolis, there's no special things to collect here. Don't worry about that. I totally was not practicing this earlier on call for something completely different. Just believe me when I say there's nothing here right now. I did see someone earlier during Nave's run mention asking why Korean was being played and why that was faster. Funny enough, this actually brings up a bit of trivia here. You see that car that's flying through the sky? That's solid. And you can hit it. And if your whip gets... You never collected it in your record, Killa. And it's not an item you collect in the overworld, you just get it through magical cutscene powers. But yeah, funny enough, of all things, those cars and like a lot of the scenery in this game is actually solid. And it's also dependent on your system's language, what cycle it is. I was practicing this on the Japanese language earlier, and yeah, you almost always, if you do that fast, you almost always get hit. I'm playing on UK English right now because it just has the easiest cycle. So yeah, we're in another Star Fox section, so if there's any more questions that chat or Nukes might have, I would say feel free to ask.
My mind is blown right now that that's the thing that language impacts in the run. Like, of all things.
So funny enough, Japanese is slower. Because you otherwise have to glide for a little bit. As long as you don't move the stick at all, you actually still have your full speed, angle, and trajectory of the, the whips. So you can actually stall there for a minute until the car comes by.
Because that's like 9 times out of 10, you choose the language based on text or cutscenes. No, it's just the cycles. That's so.
That's actually the only level in. That's the only level in any category, I think, where that actually is an issue at all. Sargasso, which is the later level, used to have that. Not anymore. But that's the only level now where it matters. And I found it out, of all things, because I switched the language to Japanese one day, just because I was just curious. Also because I do think the Japanese voice for Ratchet, it does bring a smile to my face. But then I was wondering, why am I missing Ardolis? After messing around with it, I understood why. Oh, I agree. Tools of Destruction is a very broken game under the hood. Did I explain Kerwin cutscene? You're right, actually, I didn't. Something I was talking about before, where his pass is inside, it's something that's going to be brought up a little bit later in the run as well. There was a glitch that got discovered since we're sitting here talking about languages. I believe Iwabi. You might know Iwabi as, I believe, a Wind Waker runner in a few other games, but he did run Ratchet and Clank for a bit as well. He ran Up Your Arsenal, but during a casual playthrough of this, I believe, Kill is the historian on this more than I am, so if I'm wrong, then Killa can correct me. But during a casual playthrough, he was playing the NTSC-U version on his Japanese PS3. And what happened was because Ratchet's portrayed differently in other regions, specifically Japan, where he has the bushier eyebrows and bright green pants. Why this matters is there's a very funny quirk where there's certain cutscenes in this game that are just full-on FMV files, and depending on your version of the game, they call for a specific model of Ratchet. So, say if you're playing the NCSEU version, which wants that model of Ratchet on a Japanese region console, it does not have the model. So any cutscene FMV that has Ratchet in it will not play. That actually, I forgot to mention it earlier whenever we were leaving Planet Kerwin. That's why if you didn't see a cutscene that you normally remember seeing, that's why. See, this is why I actually like the auto-scroller bits in this run, because I can actually explain things, take a break, take a breather, any of that. So yeah, coming up next is going to be a boss. This is going to be the first time that attack RNG actually matters. There's going to be certain attacks that bosses can do in the ship sections that will reveal their weak point. They have a chance of doing it. And normally when anything has a chance of happening, normally in a marathon setting, they don't go well. Alright, any other questions though, because this is probably going to be like a minute and a half maybe.
I know you were saying we get a lot of broken items here earlier on. What would you say is the most broken item in this game?
It's got to be a tie between the Shock Ravager and the Razor Claws. I would say the Shock Ravager more so because in any percent categories, you just have it longer. But the Razor Claws are going to be our means of horizontal travel, plus also infinite height so long as we have a wall to climb.
I could see how that would be broken.
I also say infinite, but you're bound by how much ammo you have in your clip, so do it that way you will.
Relative.
Explain autoscroller skip to the kind chat. I explained it a little bit during Voron, but what you do, stacking menu loads, you can get a pause in between files, which lets you save a file that is on the first level of the game, but also has the game state of the file you just did the manip with. I actually have a video that talks about that, but I don't know if this is actually the place to plug that.
You can please feel free to.
We're also going to do another missile skip here. I'm listening very carefully, and I'm trying to get set up in such a way where Ratchet can't actually fall. I did not get it. To explain how the missile skips work in this, when you're in the beginning part of the level that opens up with the cutscene, every level with a missile drop starts with a cutscene. You can actually get Ratchet in such a way where either he's not near any trigger at all, or he is in a sliding state, which means he can't actually be put in the free fall state. What happens there is, in the case of Kortog, where it was we simply walked out of the trigger, that was simply we just spawn on the ground of the level itself. What was supposed to happen here, but what you might see later, is you get stuck in a falling state, which will then put Ratchet basically in the sky of this level. Oh, actually, I should probably make a safety save here mid-marathon. This is one level where if I go past this point and I die, my file will get soft locked. So, probably good that I do that. Also, while I'm here, just to cover the semantics of this, because I don't know if this is actually required for all overworld items, because you get it, again, via cutscene. I'm going to grab the gyrocycle just for the sake of clarifying the rules. If I die at any point in this level, my file, like, not at any point, now that I've gotten into the spaceport, if I die, the file soft locks. What happens here is, if you were to die, the level is in a state now where the ship exists in two places at once. And how this game works with that, it doesn't like it. So if you do anything that updates the state of the level, such as dying, revisiting the planet, or loading a file on this planet that has already passed a spaceport without having done the combat at the beginning, then the game just decides, hey, no ship exists. So we have to tread very carefully here. And by that I mean we're just going to fly through the level again. You thought we were actually going to use that gyro cycle? Alright, now that we're here, we're going to land on this. We're going to just have a cutscene trigger. I don't know who those robots were, but that's beside the point. Instead, I'm going to take a little detour here. That's a gold bolt. Probably one of the easiest gold bolts in the series. And coming up next is my favorite level in the run. There we go. I should preface this by saying you'll know when it happens because I'm going to make an enemy dance. This is going to be a little bit of loud noise, might be flashing lights depending on how the souls go. This is why bolt routing does not matter past like Mookow 1. We have to get more souls so that we can use the decryptor. Or so I can actually get the decryptor. You know, that thing that we skipped on Mookow. This is actually where you get it. So, we're gonna come over here, this enemy is going to dance, and I'm going to push it into the mud while it's dancing. And, I don't know if that's supposed to happen. I don't think it is. But now, we kind of have about 100 souls. So, if I do that, 711,000. Just a modest little amount. We're gonna get on the nose of the ship here because we're gonna do yet another ship bounce. And aiming this way, for a level that's heavily prioritized on the robo wings, we kind of really don't use them. That was a bad angle, but because I already whipped, we don't include items given by cutscenes or vendors. Okay. I didn't know what the verdict on that was, because I just assumed anything you physically picked up. There we go. So, yeah, we fly with all the speed. There's another gold bolt here. More conveniently, there's actually a robo wing pad. So, I know I just joked around saying, hey, we don't use the robo wings at all. We actually do here. I'm trying to be very careful around these points. That's why. We're at a point in the game where I don't think we're supposed to have 12 health, let alone no armor. So, we kind of die in a single hit to everything, but also armor is slow. At least at the moment it's slow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, we're going to talk to this wall, and yeah, we're going to launch again. Yes, Kill actually explains that perfectly. I could have done one more whip, but that's fine. I know it looks like we're about to just go and die miserably. There's a reason why I'm landing here. This specific part's solid. And yeah, that's a glitched wall jump spot of all things. How this one is a thing, I'll be honest, I don't know. I genuinely believe Mobius took their time and literally jumped off of every wall. Regardless, that gives us the Alpha Disruptor. And we're going to do yet another glitched wall jump. This time, that's what I would like to call the what the frick jump. And we're going to proxy. We got caught on terrain though, so the proxy just did not work. Instead, we're just going to travel along the ground in a kind of sad way. This is what we call the charge of shame. Very shameful of me, I know. I'll do better next time. Regardless, that gives us a gold bolt here. And I'm going to switch to the thruster pack here just for better movement along here. I just want more direct movement over the here. Because we're going to bypass a 3-button sequence. I'm going to come over here and grab this just in case I die. I think any enemy here does one-shot me. Like, even the little munchers, I think, one-shot you. Alright. Now we use the decryptor. This is also 6-axis controlled unless you have the option to turn it off. In this game, luckily enough, the developers, shoutouts to Insomniac, had the foresight. They knew that some people weren't going to like 6-axis. So, they have an option in the options menu where it's just controller gyro is just off. Otherwise, I don't want to know what navigating this would be like. Yeah, what would have happened? I would have just gotten a direct path to the bolt. Basically, you see the way I charged? It would have just launched me through the air very fast. Oh yeah, this is one of 2 casual decryptors. Everything else gets skipped.
Ratchet, I am about Miss Apogee.
So now that we're done here, shout out to Todd Box Physics. Those boxes just went to Mars.
Let's go see what Quark wants, and we'll meet up with her later.
We're gonna come grab the Rhino plan here. I'm also gonna try to waste some ammo here, just because if this is slow. Okay, no, we got the fast one. The nanostormers are an item that's capable of clipping us, but only on the last one. Oh yeah, now that we got the bolt, we can actually just load. The game saves upon grabbing any sort of item like this. Yeah, what I was saying is the nanoswarmers are actually capable of clipping you, but only on the last swarmer. I forgot we actually don't do any nanoswarmer clips in this category unless you get the slow version of that there. I just call it footbolt, but if you get the slow version of footbolt, it's faster to just clip. The reason why it only works on 1 is for some reason on ammo counts 2 and up, the nanoswarmers bounce around a lot. Now that we're here, the story has us come back to Mukau because Quark is basically hiding out being Tachyon's wingman. And Quark also finds another clue from Tachyon that's supposed to be coordinates to somewhere else. So that's why we're back here in story. This also gives us a chance to collect anything we missed, which really wasn't much. Now they have the nanoswarmers though. Those will be paired up with our Shard Reaper for just damage. Alright, I'm going to be very careful on how I spawn these guys because we're actually at a point where enemies still one-tap us. And also electrified enemies damage you on contact, sometimes multiple times at once. So, while the other arena I could just autopilot, this one I don't have the luxury of doing as such. Oh. Where's the one guy? So something I should explain real quick and why Dinogrind works the way it does is something that's more than just in this game is enemies are susceptible to terrain. And if an enemy touches the terrain, they instantly die. The Groovatron has a special property that where enemies that are dancing with it, if they touch terrain, they stay still. They actually won't die. The reason why I bring this up, this guy's scary. We don't have the means to also kill him either. So, we're just gonna jump out. He's gonna tap the lava. He took a lava bath. Seems like lava wasn't his thing, so yeah. Free Hollow Pirate disguise. But that's why Dinogrind works, is because that keeps the dino alive. We can also move around the cutscene here a little bit, so a little bit of a cheeky time save there. There's Tachyon statue number 5. And there we go, I collected them all. I actually have trouble sometimes remembering what to do there. But yeah, we have coordinates to Creeley Comet now, and we're gonna go there and immediately leave. This actually gives us the weapon that we use in the run. This is going to be the Pyroblaster. Pyroblaster at level 5 has some of the highest single damage in the game. I'm also gonna buy it in the cutscene, just because it's that fun to do. And I'm gonna move back to the ship as well during this.
Those pirate.
Reason being, remember how I said before we use Dinogrind as a method of souls? I conveniently left out the fact that experience in this game is handled upon killing an enemy. When you kill an enemy, you actually end up getting your experience from there. I believe A Crack in Time was the first game that actually had damage-based experience. So conveniently, if you have an enemy that's in the state where they're dying upon touching the environment, but they're in a state where they're still alive because the Groovatron's keeping them alive, what do you think will happen? Ah! I was a little too slow. Okay, while I'm here, I'm gonna forget about this otherwise. I'm gonna move this quick select to something I'm more used to. So yeah, we're gonna make him dance. And we're just gonna put that little thought experiment to action. Conveniently. It just so happens that this is one of the biggest means of power leveling in the entire series. I would wager to say this is one of the most powerful grinding methods in any game. Without stepping into the realm of arbitrary code execution. Because he's repeatedly dying like every frame or so, he's giving experience every frame. This gets used in New Game Plus, where the experience gains are massive. You can basically power level the entire roster of weapons in the span of about 10 minutes. And that's from level 1 to 10. So yeah, that's our main damage now throughout the entire rest of the run. So yeah, from now on, any fight's gonna be solved with a big old flamethrower. Kind of cool if you ask me. And we have most of our movement kit as well. I'm gonna do that to hit the checkpoint. Those barrels will instantly kill me if I hit them. That's the reason why I didn't upgrade damage, is I actually did not want to properly kill the dino yet.
Nobody sees the iris without getting past shame.
Oh, I'm caught on something. I'm jumping down here and swing flinging really high in the sky. Just because there's a rhino part here. The Hollow Pirate's interesting because there's no collection animation with... Oh, I'm dead. That's actually one of the reasons why I grabbed the cutscene trigger here. I'm actually very terrible at that specific swing fling. I actually do a backup in 100% that I don't use here because it's just slower. And it's to get down here so you can get to the gold bolt. Normally you're supposed to do like a little pirate door thing. You're supposed to like dance in front of the door, prove your worth as a pirate by dancing. The pirates are pretty cool in this game to say the least, but I do question what some of their methods of like showing superiority is. Now that we're conveniently out of bounds again, we're just gonna move around here. An interesting thing to note is just so much of the scenery in this game in particular is just solid. So, you just happen to be able to take the back entrance in. This guy here doesn't like it though, so we're just gonna give him his just desserts real quick.
So, this is the Iris supercomputer. How do you turn this thing on?
It appears to have been damaged by space pirates. Perhaps I can repair
Oh yeah, the Predator launcher doesn't work like that because there's no lasting means of damage that comes from it. Oh yeah. We're Clank again. I hope you remember that little talk that we were having about before on Fast Tune where Clank can fly, because... Do you really think I'm gonna do all this again? That being said, I'm gonna do this. And with how the time slop interacts on certain slopes, Clank just gets in a weird state where his glide goes up. One would call it a state with a glitched glide, otherwise known as glitch glide state. And we just skipped the entire Clank section.
Perhaps there is a way to repair it.
Now that we've done that though, we're free to leave. I probably should have actually put on the heli pack on the next level. Up next is Planet Visceron. We're at a point now where actually a lot of the category is going to play like how 100% does, because we're in the stretch of levels that does not get visited again in 100%. We're just going to conveniently aim as well, right that way, and we're going to use ship jumping to our advantage again. I'm going to take a little bit of extra damage. anything here already one taps me. I think the little ones don't. Oh, actually, no, I don't need to do that. We don't death warp. Or at least not there.
Please report to the Green Visitors Gate.
Just for you, Killa.
Wife's keys to work.
We're gonna hit the gold bolt hitbox from below, and by that I mean we're not. I don't know what happened there. I usually use my favorite there's a little black circle I use there to kind of like judge the hitbox of it. That's actually a little bit of an unfortunate time loss.
I'm picking up multiple enemies in your sector, deadmeat. Whatever you do.
Top 3 Ratchet games right here. Honestly, I agree.
Go waiting.
The world where Vorsalon is first seized? Oh yeah, that's right. You might also know this level from Rift Apart, or from the relay last year, where conveniently both levels that featured, or both games that featured Visceron crashed on Visceron. We're gonna hit that, and now we're gonna whip, and that's what gives us the gold bolt. A lot of this tech though, one of the things that I really love about this game is a lot of the tech makes sense of like what you do. And because of that, it's very easy to pick up. It's definitely hard to get good at. I think any speedrun just about is like that. But a lot of these are simply... I got the slow one. That's actually the one that doesn't work. But a lot of the tech in this game simply is just keep the stick neutral, and then the whip does all the work for you. Case in point, this here. We're doing this a little bit of a detour simply because there's a rhino part here. I'm decently good at this. Thank you. I actually haven't talked about much about like my experience with this game. I've just kind of been explaining what goes on in the game. I personally have actually been running this since July 2020 myself. I actually hold the world record sweep in this game. Killa Lombax though was the person that held the sweep before me. They were pretty epic too, so I would also say check them out. And they put up a good fight, very much. They're still like up and kicking as well.
Please report to the medvac station.
It's like riding an invisible flying horse. What if Ratchet is just Clank's horse though? Oh yeah, an interesting thing to know about the pirate as well. It carries some certain states. So if we land on that decryptor as the pirate, we can store the ability to enter the decryptor. This lets us take advantage of a specific quirk, which I don't know how to describe this other than Ratchet's not in here. We suss out even the game with this. Once you finish this section, you're supposed to have a mandatory prison break sequence because you sprung Talwyn out of jail. And you're supposed to basically fight your way out. But since Ratchet's not in here when that cutscene triggers, the game doesn't update the state for Ratchet. So conveniently, since Ratchet was never in here, Ratchet's checkpoint is still
Attention, inmate number 97.
out here. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna grab some Visicopters right now. Surely I should have them. We're gonna do a cute little animation cancel. I didn't get it. Oh no, I did get it. There's a way they can cancel the gold bowl state. Same reason as to why the missile skip. You're not in a state where the game can actually put you in the cutscene of collecting the gold bolt. And with that, you can use the pirate to skip gold bolt animations. You can use that teleporter there. On Nundak, I could have used the swing shot. In another level, you're actually going to see... I'm going to use death to skip the gold bolt animation. Actually, yeah. Killa taught me Tools of Destruction at HDQ 2020. And that's actually what got me like really interested in this game. I just didn't run it for the next couple months because my game I was grinding at the time was going commando. So having played both of like the like really big eras of Ratchet, I think that's actually the beauty of like each game in the series is there's something for just about everyone. This is like a game more what I would like to call predicated on game knowledge rather than tech. Is there a fast way to get money for the Rhino? Yes, Dino Grind. The trick that you saw me do earlier on Sargasso both times, how you get the money is you just push him into the mud while he's dancing. To explain further how that trick works, it's like multiple factors at once where he's still technically alive in the sense of he has his health still, so if you properly kill him, he will be deleted from the map. The Groovatron's keeping him alive from dying to the terrain because there's no state for him to die while dancing. Especially to the terrain. If you actually push him in all the way and let the Groovatron expire, I think he still dies. I know if you push a dino all the way through the mud while he's dancing, we happen to find places where he can get stuck. If you push him all the way in and then die and reload the state of the level, he actually is still alive. The trick is very weird, and usually when it comes to running this game, all you need to know is that it works.
How many of the Ratchet and Clank games have you run?
Depends on if you want to count category extensions because it's very odd because we have a lot of partial categories as well too in terms of the category extensions. So I've actually only done runs of 3 of the games. I've done this game. Oh wait, no, 4. I forgot about P% in Quest for Booty, which is a category extension. I just never submitted it. I've done little bits of like I've learned tech for Going Commando. I've ran up Going Commando for 3 years. Up Your Arsenal has similar tech to Going Commando, so I have knowledge in Ouya tech as well. But I also just watch a lot of Ratchet runs in general, so I have at least some knowledge in most, if not all, the games.
Okay. Yeah, you seem very knowledgeable about this game at the very least, but yeah, I didn't know how much that carried.
I feel like I have the knowledge, I just don't know how to communicate it. There's some sorts of things that kind of stick around through most of the games, and a lot of that usually is like, the stick being neutral is good. What's Pete%? Pete% is a category in Quest for Booty where from loading into the game, you go and find Rusty Pete as fast as possible and whack him with the wrench. It's like 2.5 minutes.
Great. There are some wacky categories out there. I love that.
It's kind of... The Ratchet series is actually kind of tame when it comes to the categories. There's no like dank%, there's no like nipple% where it's like make Mario shirtless. Ours are very much just like alternate ways to play the game. Which, I don't know, I actually do think that either way can be good, and like those runs technically are based on the entertainment side of things. Which, entertainment does have its place in speedrunning, of course, I agree on that. I think a lot of the Ratchet stuff just comes from, we all just really like the tech and what we do in these games, so a lot of the categories that see the activity are just the ones that use the most tech.
And that's awesome, because sometimes in your like more traditional runs, you don't get to see some of the tech that's available in the game.
Oh yeah, that double swing fling I tried doing on Nundak, that entire part where I was trying to fly through the asteroid ring without using the teleport cannons, that really doesn't see any use. The only thing that does is like the really high wall jump we got. Wrench only is pain but fun. I've heard horror stories of that category, and if it wasn't such a brutal category to run, I would have considered submitting that. Oh yeah, Ratchet 1 does have one meme category. If you've seen an Easy Skate video from like 2018-ish, you know what it is. But yeah, not the most PG one. Otherwise, a lot of the humor in Ratchet and Clank stuff, at least for the runners, just mainly comes from in-jokes between runners and also trick names. We happen to find trick names that end up being kind of funny sometimes while still conveying what the trick is. One of the most notorious examples of this comes from Size Matters, which is... It's called Section 2 Skip, which is... On the level inside Clank, you can actually skip the second section by doing a chain of tricks together. But if this lets you know the format of the Ratchet and Clank trick names, it tends to be something along the lines of Clank's Heart Piece wall climb into Clank's Heart Piece, IJ's into Polarizer Pad Proxy onto the globe into Dual Lacerator's V4 elevation. Simply put, we have some smart Alex in the community, and I would not trade the world for them at all. Yeah, we do love our trick meme names. Sin knows this because he's like one of the Rift Apart gods, and he even knows what some of that's like. Tell him about G-dashes. Yeah, this is like the last little bit of downtime in terms of auto scrolls that we have in the run, so that's kind of why I was just using it to talk a little bit about community stuff, kind of like a little bit of catch up on questions. If there's any more questions, I can still answer them because we still have some cutscenes going around. Oh yeah, auto-scroller skip. Hey, can't touch this. I beat the level without getting hit. Don't mind the health bar. Also, why do I remember the name of the strat? I just do. Alright, we're on Planet Kirchu. Planet Jacindu, Kirchu City. This level is notorious casually. A lot of people point to this being the worst level in the game. I don't believe any of that besides one spot. We're gonna move during the cutscene again a little bit, because we're gonna move to the vendor back here. We get the holy grail of tech in this game. We get the Razor Claws. I actually do not know the secret agent Clank code. So you remember how I said we also had clipping options as well? The Visicopter is capable of doing that. And by jamming the propeller into Ratchet's head so much, we can clip through this invisible wall here. I said we can clip through this invisible wall here. And yeah, we can use that to push Ratchet through. And it's one of the clunkiest means of clipping in the series, but it works. And you see a cute little showcase of what the Razor Claw can do. We use the burst of speed from that to carry into doing anything else. And we can also use it to climb walls infinitely, because the contact that gets made there, we actually get a bit of a grounded state out of it. Right there, we just got the box breaker. It's one of the permanent upgrades for Ratchet, so that's why we have to collect it. And we're gonna visit clip again because we clipped into the end of the section, but but we didn't actually get like into the other part as we should have. So we're just gonna conveniently clip through again. This is actually one of the reasons why we don't grab armor, is this is one of the times that we do Death Warp. And from here, I'm just gonna jump across this goo. As you can tell, it carries Ratchet's speed out of the Razor Claws. Oh yeah, Sadmin's right on that. We were theory crafting a little bit on like how some of the tech works. And we come to a potential realization that Big Head mode might actually make Visiclips easier, given that Ratchet's hurt box does shift in terms of size based on head size. Oh hey, oh no, I thought I got animation canceled. Now I have to be careful. We're in a point now where these enemies will kill us, and we have to climb this tower. There we go. That's the last tough part of this level done. So now we can die. Now that we're back here, this convenient little tree branch is going to be exactly what we need. And we're going to go over to this inconspicuous rock that's like super out of bounds that for some reason is solid. We're going to look at this specific tree branch. And we're going to Heli Razor. These rocks aren't, though. Now that we're here, I'm going to select the Pyroblaster early. We're going to buy the Transmorphers as well. Now that we're here, everyone knows this boss. Everyone hates this boss. This is the Kirchu Guardian. This is one of the reasons why we grabbed V5 Pyro. This is an entire rail section that you have to do every single time you attempt the boss. Fun thing to note about this boss, because Ratchet & Clank Future Tools of Destruction for the Sony PlayStation 3 is such a well-designed game, sometimes the scripted events in Ratchet & Clank Future Tools of Destruction for the Sony PlayStation 3 don't always work. That being said, you see those missiles that are chasing me, right? Some of them come really close to Ratchet. It's supposed to kind of like blow up and chase you because it's supposed to be like a really high octane chase. And over here, like, you jump through these, you can actually take it at a cinematic angle like this. Like if you're really feeling spicy. But some of the missiles that are supposed to chase you can hit you. By no fault of your own, it's just how the missiles are programmed. So what can happen sometimes is you're jumping through here, minding your own business, and right after you jump over this last ring, sometimes the game can decide to fire a missile and kill you. Fun fact, during the Ratchet & Clank Relay last year, I was doing all Gold Bolts racing Killa, and I got glitch missiled twice. With the health value that I'm at, getting hit by the glitch missile instantly kills you. I believe once you hit about 43 health, you can have the chance to live it on 1. But since we don't want to deal with any of the boss's BS, we're just going to do that.
Is there any way to
We don't ever
control that missile there, or is that just like bad luck if that happens?
You can't control the missile. You can control how the impact of glitch missile is by buying armor. But armor is slow. You can actually use the pirate disguise in order to... You can animation cancel getting armor with the pirate, which is like the weirdest thing, but I love it.
Fine, but I'm not waiting around.
But that requires you to detour to another level before Jacindu so you can actually like get the armor.
Not worth it.
Oh wait, no, you actually can do that on Sargasso too, now that I think about it. There's a Rhino plan there. That one's probably one of the most like not hidden ones. And we're gonna use the speed that you get out of the Razor Claws to break free from the gravity. And yeah, we've already entered the Captain Slag boss arena. He's an electrified boss though, so I'm going to mind my distance. Yeah, the game is kind of getting back at me for just sitting there and just like ignoring everything that they want me to do in it. But at the same time, I do think with how broken this game can be, that's some of the charm of it. Like, there are certain times where you're just playing and like sometimes those runs happen and you're just like, well, that's Todd. This is another boss that's kind of notorious casually, and we actually completely skipped all of like what makes this level notorious casually. There's like a big old ship section where you have to like fire at another ship. It's very weird. Yeah, I don't even remember how this level does casually, because even casually playing this, I still skip it. But as long as you hide over here, actually, Captain Slag cannot hit you as long as you have the V5 Pyro, because you'll damage him before he can actually attack you. So yeah, real quick, we've done P% in this game. We're gonna animation cancel getting the treasure mapper there.
Okay, tell him to meet us outside the planet's stratosphere. Come on, we need to get back to affiliate.
Hey, nice, I got it. We're gonna animation cancel getting the gold bolt there, and then Ratchet's just gonna jump off. This spawns us in the room it normally would if we died to Slag. The reason why we need to get back here is, remember that gyrocycle we got? Me neither. I'm going to take a little bit of time loss here because the teleporter that's in this room to take you back to the ship is notorious for crashing the game. I've heard it be like kind of like a 1 in 3. For me, it feels like a 2 in 3. So So I'm just going to load. It's going to be like maybe 5-10 seconds of time loss, but for the sake of marathon safety, I'm just going to do that to avoid the crash entirely. But now that we're done with that, we're coming up to Planet Report, which is actually going to be another level with a missile drop. This is actually the hardest missile drop to skip because the surface that you're getting the falling state off of is like this big. So I'm going to wait for a moment and I'm going to jump at about 4 o'clock, 4:30ish, and it's going to spawn me in the air. How did I miss Riken but hit this? I have to be kind of fast, though, in how I get this all set up, because these missiles will hit me, and yeah. That's actually really hard to try to convert, but it's always worth going for, because if you hit it, you save like 20-30 seconds. Unfortunate, though, but that is the way this game goes sometimes. This is what I mean by, like, the tech in this game is actually pretty easy to learn, but it is sometimes really difficult to master. But we have alternatives to that. We still need to grab these gold bolts anyway. Oh. Oh yeah, this is also... The way that we're doing this level also skips a Ratchet-only section. We're actually in the Ratchet-only section, funny enough. But we also flat-out skip an entire Clank section. Alright, I got like none of those heli razors. That's epic. Heli razors tend to be a little bit weird in how they work because whether or not you get them, sometimes it's just dependent on how the game lags. We're going to run back here and we're going to trigger these Cragmites. We're going to throw this Transmorpher in between them because it turns them into cute little penguins that we're going to roast on an open fire. Wait, no, I thought you did that with chestnuts. Same thing, really. Regardless, this makes these Cragmites, which are normally very tanky, means you're able to just take them out very quickly. So now that we do that, we're going to throw this. Usually when you hit a Cragmite, they end up warping away, and normally they're very notorious about being very hard to hit. So we use like all of our devices here to keep them still. Otherwise, we'd be here for like 3 more minutes. Now that we're done with all that, there's one little thing we need to do before we leave for the next level. That's that holoplan there. Remember how I said the one on Ooblik Passage was a little bit not well hidden? Oh, that one wasn't either. We're gonna get the cutscene and then we're gonna jump on the ship. They never fell off the cliff. Tachyon never actually brought back the Cragmites. Everything's all nice and fine in the world, right? The game doesn't agree. But we can still move in another cutscene, which is always fun to do. And what I'm going to do here, there's a holoplan that we need to get up this way. This is like the one break from the path that we have in 100%. You move up about like 5 more feet, get this holoplan, and boom. That being said, I am going to go for a swag strat. So we're gonna get a proxy, right? Never mind. So what can happen here is, because you're getting a proxy, like you're in a state where you can get it off an invisible surface, you can actually do that and get really high speed. And if you can control it, you can actually collect both bolts at once. So you can use one bolt to animation cancel the other, and then use the animation of dying to animation cancel the second. I tried going for it once just because if you can hit it, it's one of the sickest things to hit in the game. Otherwise, this is the way you do it normally. And the way you do is you get a heli razor and you go fast enough where the game, that's supposed to be an auto kill barrier. Where if you cross it, because the level is very compact, if you cross over it, those missiles just come up and hit you and instantly kill you, regardless of what your health is. But if you're fast enough, you can grab it and die. So, we're going to use that. The Razor Claws, as you can tell, that's another great example of how we basically use those as like the option for just moving around, because it's, you have an option to wall climb, why not? Remember how I said as well that there was nothing to do on Ardolus? Oh yeah, I only did it because it was a swag strat. Yeah, now that we have the Razor Claws, traversing Ardolus is going to be like 30 times easier.
Fresh Lombax. Just I be hungry.
So yeah, now that we're here, seeing how wide this level is, having something that gives us such the horizontal movement that we have with them, you can kind of see like where this really helps. Now that we can do that, now we can jump off and then we're good here. There's still more that we need to do, but that's all for that little spot. Alright, we're gonna do this to spawn the boss. I actually need to kill the boss so I can come back out here. Oh, I actually don't need to do this. This is not the right time. So now that we're here, we're gonna fire this. We're gonna visit clip again. I hope you like the visit clips. I personally don't. So we clip just enough in where we can come over here and fall right in. Cute little anime cancel on the next gold bolt there. And because the game does not recognize us in the pirate disguise, we don't have to dance. So they prevent us from entering, but since we entered through the back door, they kick us out the front door. When in fact, them trying to do their job is exactly what allows me to just do my job. We're gonna get a glitched wall jump off of that as well. And yeah, this puts into perspective just how much you like skip around in this game. Oh, right. Up here it's Ardolus Square. Everyone say hi to the Ardolus Square. I actually have to fall a little bit or else I soft lock up there. Alright, so now that we're up here, we're gonna get into an infinite fall spot. And what's gonna happen here is I'm gonna throw the Visicopter. And while I'm explaining the next little bit of what's going on, I'm gonna explain why I did that. While Ratchet fires a Visicopter, Ratchet's incapable of taking damage. He also can't be aggroed because the enemies will aggro onto the Visicopter. What this means is, if you find a way to update the state of the level without Ratchet actually properly destroying the Visicopter, be it by dying, by the Visicopter actually blowing up, manually detonating it, etc. What this means is you actually have the properties of the enemies treating it like there's a Visicopter out until you next throw a Visicopter or turn off your game. What this means is we are currently in a God mode. As you can tell, these enemies don't aggro us. Normally they'll start attacking you on sight. So yeah, after that big ol' info dump, now that we're here, we can throw the helipod, and up next is the last level of the game. Planet Fastoon. This is another missile skip that I need to hit. I'm surprised I hit Reapor of all of them in this run. Usually Raiken's like the easiest one for me. I got it. Nice. So we actually cancel the state of the missiles with the hyper shot of all things. What this means is we actually spawn in at an angle. And if there's one thing I've learned about this game, it's not supposed to go at an angle. So, We can use this to fly over the level even easier with heli razors.
I read you, Zephyr. I spot 5 magnet cannons.
And yeah, we now have all the gold bolts.
I'll find Tachyon.
Oh, and we now have all the rhino parts. Yeah, only some, there's some bosses that will spawn upon you meeting their trigger and them being able to aggro you. The reason why this isn't such a splashable trick, Captain Slag on Ooblik Passage is actually one of them. But given that we have a god mode, and it's currently active as we're going into the final boss, we win. Does it include Tachyon? No, it does not actually, because he starts on cutscene. The only issue is because he can't actually aggro Ratchet. His health bar is not active. At this point now, I just have to sit here, fire this until we win. Whenever Tachyon turns invisible and whenever he staggers after taking enough damage, he actually will be invulnerable for that part. Such as that. He's actually invulnerable during that entire part, so that's where we use that to grab ammo. The time is going to be whenever the screen fades to black. Usually we do it based on whenever the health bar is empty, but with how this is, we can't do that. So that's going to be time.
GG. That was a great run.
That was a lot all at once to do.
Great job explaining
What was the time out of curiosity?
Give me a moment. 1:26:02.
Honestly, that's pretty good. I believe world record's a 1:23. So, given the time that I did, in terms of times that I lost to certain tricks, it's actually really good. I believe that is actually a new PB for me as well. I did runs in secret because I kind of wanted to surprise the Ratchet community a little bit with this. Because we have the Ratchet Relay coming up, but I kind of also wanted to surprise them as well. Basically, more Ratchet content is always nice, especially for Ratchet runners. So I actually grinded this category and learned the stuff in secret and offline. So I actually have no submitted run, but I have a pile of runs.
Well, this will be your PB run then. That's really cool.
Where are we?
Indeed.
Well, Torpedo, I want to give you a chance to give out any shout outs you'd like to, let people know where to find you, and maybe you can talk about the upcoming Ratchet and Clank marathon you'll be on coming up here soon.
I actually had to mute my game audio because this song gets copyrighted. So you can find me on Twitch. I believe Nukes was posting the link a few times. Twitch.tv/torpedo_. I don't know. Did someone give you the link for the Ratchet Discord? Because the Ratchet Discord's probably the best place. Just meet up with a bunch of runners, talk about strats. We have channels for every game.
Is it in the speedrun page?
Yo, Richard, cheers for the subscribe link. It's also on the speedrun.com
I can
page.
grab
Yes. What time's the marathon? I've actually been busy with a lot of stuff IRL, so I actually don't know the exact date of the marathon. But there is going to be a Ratchet and Clank relay, which is going to be 6 categories and 2 teams competing against each other. So you're going to have a crack in time, any percent. You're going to have all gold bolts randomizer for Ratchet and Clank 1. That's a new thing. Oh yeah, that's right. I gained control. I do marathon timings just from file select rather than gaining control. So that's actually 125. That's pretty cool. But yeah, the relay's coming up, and then in about a week or 2, I'll be on commentary for A Crack in Time because I've actually been learning that game to grind as well. Now that I've done what I've wanted to in Tools of Destruction, I can look into other games. September 10th at 1 p.m. EST. Thank you, Killa. He's actually the one organizing this with you guys, being the... I don't know what the word is, but the in-between.
Yeah, so chat, make sure if you enjoyed this run, make sure to check that out again, September 10th, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Lots be shown during that marathon. So a lot more where that came from. Torpedo.
As for shoutouts,
Sorry. No,
sorry.
you go first. You go first.
Individual people, that goes to Kill Lombax. I would like to say my close friend and rival with this game. We've Killa and I going like head of optimizations to be made in this category. I would like to give a shout out to 24/7 Yu-Gi-Oh. He is the madman that finds a lot of the wild tricks and stuff in this game. As of now, like your file manip stuff. So he's why auto scroller skip happened. There's like 3 methods of it now that he found. He's the reason why we got coordinates early, which is why 100% got rerouted. And then there's also other runners that I'd like to give shoutouts to. Sin has been grinding Tools NG Plus, special like, and one like specific one I want to take a bit of time to is Mobius. They were the one that actually like broke the ground originally in this game and like optimized it as far as it did until like the new wave of runners came in. I believe 6 years of running this game alone. They've since retired from speedrunning, and the most that they do now is they'll do like speedrun stuff every now and again, but not as a main focus anymore. And I wanted to shine a light on what they did. Needless to say, Mobius is one of the inspirations of why I've been running Ratchet. But yeah, that'll be all from me.
All right, thank you all so much. Again, please go give Torpedo a follow. They definitely deserve it. You did such a great job explaining this. I really enjoyed this showcase. Chat?
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Chat, we are going to take a quick little break here, but make sure to stay tuned because after this will be speedruns from the crypt.